TikTok time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. It's your friendly neighborhood philosopher here, D Wood. Gotten multiple requests to check out Jvnior's antics, and AP showed a little bit last night, but Thaddeus watched the debate and he said we could actually do a little review. Check out the monkey clip. But also check out the opening statements and the rebuttals. So we're going to check all that out. I haven't seen anything except for the little part that AP showed me last night while we were live when I asked him about it. But yes, Jvnior. Two disturbing things. One, that Jvnior was doing all this to a giant stuffed monkey during a debate. Two, that Jvnior just happened to have this thing handy, right? He happens to have this giant stuffed monkey in his room, and he apparently likes doing weird, creepy stuff to this thing.
It's true. That's true.
And so, Thaddeus, I haven't watched the debate. You've watched it. What are your thoughts on? What do you think about the debate? Ah! Hey. Hey, don't be doing weird, Jvnior. Don't Jvnior that monkey, man. Look, man, if you Jvnior that monkey, I'm going to Malik this book, man. I'm going to Malik this book.
So first of all, I wanted to give Jvnior credit for tuning in or turning up, coming and actually debating. Sometimes debating is a very scary thing. Sometimes reviewing a debate is a very scary thing. So you need an emotional support animal. So I got my emotional support animal, took the example from Jvnior, went out, found this Valentine's monkey at the store. I'll give it to my wife after this. But for today, we got the monkey here helping us out with the debate review. And I think that this was a good debate. The topic was, which is more wrong, Israel or Hamas, which I interpret to be morally, but both sides interpret it as both morally and factually. So there's a lot of debating on historical facts and such. And I personally am not passionate about Israel. I know AP is very passionate about Israel. I assume Issa probably is. I'm not. I'm pretty neutral on it. I mean, I certainly don't support Hamas by any means, but I'm not like in love with Israel or something. So I think I'm probably a good person to review the debate. And of course, we had the greatest Dawa guy in the history of the world, Jvnior, coming. So we know we got the best argument possible. And again, his credit, he showed up. Uthman never shows up. I think Uthman needs to go buy himself a giant stuffed monkey so he'll have the confidence to do debates.
Yeah, Sheikh Uthman wishes he had Jvnior's confidence. He doesn't. And that's why we're going to probably be seeing Jvnior debate a lot this year. And how many times we're going to see Sheikh Uthman in an actual, legitimate, moderated debate? How many times? Make your prediction now. Make your prediction. Hang on. Let's do a poll to see how well people know Sheikh Uthman. Start a poll. How many moderated debates? Matter of fact, let's make it. He is willing, if he's like got 4 of his Dawa buddies with him, to have someone call in. So let's specify how many moderated 1v1 or 2v2 debates will we see Sheikh Uthman in this year, 2026. Let me add neutral, because he may be willing to engage in some sort of debate where he only seems to be willing if he controls the mute button, so he can mute people when they start crushing him. We'll say 0, 1 to 5, or more than 5. All right, those will be your options. How many neutral? Let's see. I'm just taking out the neutral. I don't think I'll engage in any one-on-one or two-on-two moderate. How many moderated one-on-one or 2v2 debates will we see? Sheikh Uthman in this year, 2026. No, you got to have neutral. He insists on having the mute button on his side. On a neutral platform. How many moderated 1v1 or 2v2 debates will we see Sheikh Uthman in this year on a neutral platform? All right, now you've got your options, ladies and gentlemen. You got your options there. So yeah, notice, I mean, huge difference, right? Jvnior is willing to debate. He's got courage. He's got the courage to debate. Now, every time he steps to the plate, he's a huge embarrassment. That's what Sheikh Uthman knows. So Sheikh Uthman is smarter because he knows if he actually had a moderated debate, it would be every bit as embarrassing as it is with Jvnior. He just has the basic level of intelligence to realize that would be a very bad idea. But he's weird because simultaneously with that, he wants the reputation of someone who's willing to debate, even though he's not. So he keeps running his mouth like he's willing to debate when everyone has agreed to debate him, challenged him, accepted his challenges, and he runs from everyone. As soon as you accept, he'll say, I challenge you. And you say, okay. And then he'll say, no, you're not even good enough. And then he'll run, everyone's running from me. What a freaking coward. But I did want to verify. You already said it, Thaddeus. You said you went out and bought that. So just to want everyone to understand, you went out and bought that specifically for this, and you realize, it can double as a Valentine's Day gift. But you didn't just have a giant stuffed monkey laying around that you like to do stuff with and try to shove things in its mouth, right?
Nope. I definitely did not already have a giant monkey sitting around.
Okay. All right, guys. We heard it here. So nothing to be weirded out by Thaddeus having this giant stuffed monkey handy. All right, so guys, yeah, we'll watch the opening statements. So we'll watch. I haven't seen any of this. Thaddeus has checked it out, but Thaddeus has said he's not licking Netanyahu's butt. That's how the double guys always describe anything. If you if you don't cheer for from the river to the sea and so on. But Thaddeus, not big on this issue, so he'd be totally open to seeing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to be clear, I did cut them down some. I tried to catch the core of the arguments being made, but not every single point from their openings is included, just for interest of time.
Okay, yeah, and that's good because I don't know how long I can pay attention to Jvnior, although when he's being really funny and stupid, he can be entertaining. So lots of debates for Jvnior this year, guys, because most other guys aren't willing to step up. And you got people like Sheikh Uthman who will never step up. Then you'll have Jake, who most of us think he's going to come up with a convenient reason to back out of both of his debates at DebateCon. And I've said it repeatedly, Jake's like, seriously, Jake, come on. If you're going to back out, just do it as soon as possible. Not for me. It's not affecting me one way or another. You could back out the day of the debate. I'll be slightly annoyed that I have to travel. I will. But I'm fine with that because I will respond by doing stuff to your book and stuff like that. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine with people doing something a little annoying to me because then I know there are always consequences, and that provides me an awesome opportunity to introduce them to the concept of consequences, and to introduce them to some basic manners that their religion didn't teach them, and to show them what integrity is because their religion doesn't teach them that. So now, with that said, Jake, if you back out in time to where it doesn't mess up James. Again, all you could do is slightly annoy me by me already traveling, and then you you back out on the day of the debate. That would be slightly annoying to me because I will have to travel. And there will be consequences for that. If you back out before then and it doesn't like mess, but yeah, the real issue is messing up James's schedule. He has an entire day of debates. You are 2 of the 4 or 5 debates. So if you back out at the last second and he's left scrambling, trying to fill those things in, not the way Muhammad got filled in, but yeah, if you put James in that awkward situation that other people have put him in the past, I will be really, really ticked off about that because that's messed up. And that will be some serious Quran desecration, because right now this is the year of Quran desecration. And interestingly, Jake is the one who started that with Malik. So Jake's the one who set off Malik. Malik's the one who exposed everything. And then Malik is a narcissist, so he can't admit when he's wrong, and he doesn't know how to back down or apologize. And so that's just the time we're in. With that said, Jake, if you back out in a way that does not mess up James and does not even end with me traveling for nothing, that's up to you, man. That's up to you. I don't have a problem, because you'll be the one who looks like a weak little coward. All right, so that's all out there. Yeah, we have so far we have 87% of people who know Sheikh Uthman really, really well, because they're saying 0. You will see him in 0 debates. All right, so let's check out these first couple super chats, and then we'll jump right into Junior's opening statement. I have not seen it, and so my mind may be blown here by Junior's power. Monkey Town. Oh, you got musical notes there. Monkey Town to the tune of Funky Town. Won't you take me to Monkey Town? What's Junior doing with that banana? We have the hashtag Save the Monkey from Junior. That needs to be a trending hashtag on X. We got, you should see the part where Junior says he wishes he would get unalived. Really? Are you talking about that?
That's presumably in the crossfire or maybe in the audience Q&A. So I didn't clip that part, but
Junior, if anyone unalives you, it's going to be your fellow Dawa guys for embarrassing Islam too much. We love you, dude. We love you, man. No one who's critical of Islam is going to ever want to stop you. Rebecca was 3 sheets in the wind. Someone keeps making Rebecca was 3 jokes to make fun of there. Rebecca was 3. Didn't Jake, the metaphysician, what, Junior?
No, Junior was not notable enough to be on Jake's little tier list, so he didn't give him enough.
He didn't even get on he wasn't even on the F tier?
No.
So
he's too powerful to make the list.
With that said, people have pointed out Jake didn't have a Zut tier. He didn't have a Zut tier. Maybe he just didn't cover that because he couldn't get it all on the page, and maybe Junior would have been Zut tier. AP has the cojones to debate a 200 IQ individual. Yeah, I heard AP said something about him being 50 IQ points ahead of Junior, and then Junior responded, "Oh, really? So you've got an over 200 IQ?" Which would mean that Junior thinks he has a 150 IQ.
That's impressive.
Yeah, man, that would make him by far the smartest Dawa guy in history, and the most fearless, because he's taken all these debates. Not the way Muhammad took things, but Uthman would zoot the Warner before he debates.
That's true.
And the Warner apparently would not object. Anything for Dawa. Junior is the same guy that said he wouldn't jump in front of a bus to save his son to Fearless Truth. What? Junior is the manifestation of the caricature everyone has about the pseudo-intellectual pretending to be spiritual. Sounds like him. I've only ever seen a couple of clips of Junior that were circulating after his debates last year at DebateCon. Very powerful stuff. Very powerful reasoning, especially on the Issa issue. So, Monkey, where did the bad man touch you? That would be weird if I saw that, if I didn't know that that's exactly what Junior was doing. That's some weird stuff, especially since he just had that thing ready. Hey, let me get my monkey. The man is unironically sub 95 IQ. Based on the little bit I've seen, I'd say sub 80, 85. The fact that he was like, uh, yeah, Aisha was definitely older. I mean, think about it. Once you reach puberty, you can't play with dolls anymore. As soon as you reach puberty, you can't play with dolls. But before puberty, you can play with dolls. And Aisha was still playing with dolls, so she must have been over 16. Like, okay, now I'm not thinking IQ 95. 95 is completely normal range.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Yeah, the man is unironically sub 95 IQ and can only tell you how he'd feel if he didn't have breakfast because he Googled the correct answer, not because he understands conditional thinking. Yeah. Donkey Kong Jr. Pass Mo's booty to the left-hand side. I don't know what song that is. After 3 years of debating a Muslim friend, I sent Jake's Rebecca was 3 vid, and the response was, yeah, okay, but what about Mary? That's what they do. And as soon as you respond to that, as soon as you respond to Mary, then he'll forget about the response to Rebecca. And as soon as you respond to Mary, you go, yeah, but what about Rebecca? Oh, gosh, what is this religion, man? What is this religion? All right, everyone ready? So we're starting with Junior, right? We're starting with Junior's opening statement.
Yeah, so there's a little bit before this portion where he talks about how Palestine has existed for 7,000 years or some such. I cut that part out because he then goes and says, and here's the 10 points I want to make today. So like that point he didn't even want to make, apparently. I don't know. Anyway, I cut that part out, but it does come up in the rebuttal. So just for reference, that's what he says at the very start.
All right, let's get into this, but again, not in the way the Zut got into Muhammad. Here we go. Junior's opening statement.
Hamas versus Israel, to me, is resistance versus occupation. I'm going to run through 10 points. The root, Gaza as a prison, civilian deaths, the Hamas label, and the ceasefires. Then I'm going to touch on Zionism. What is it?
And I definitely didn't go, Chat GPT, give me 10 points for my debate on this.
Israel's backup, reputation, the harsh reality of the conflict, and just being honest and truth. So the cause. This is exactly why the conflict started. The conflict.
look at the Jewish guy there. Okay.
Did not begin with Hamas. It began with displacement, occupation, and denial of self-determination. So 1948, over 700,000 Palestinians were displaced. 1967, Israel occupies Gaza, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, following the Six-Day War. 1987, that's when Hamas was founded, 20 years after the occupation. And according to international law, occupation and population transfer are illegal. So this makes Gaza a prison. Gaza, under international law, is not a free territory. Since 2007, almost 20 years ago, Israel has imposed a full land, air, and sea blockade on Gaza. Israel controls all borders except one, plus airspace and coastal waters. Movement is totally restricted for 2.3 million people. Exit is nearly impossible.
I have to point out, since they don't control the Egyptian border, are they also in prison from Egypt, apparently?
Yeah, that's very interesting. Controls every border except one. So in other words, they don't keep people there.
Yeah, so you have a border with Egypt that is controlled by Egypt, entirely by massive Muslim majority Egypt. So if you're trapped there by Israel, you're also trapped there by Egypt, right? Why are Muslims keeping these people in prison?
And every time they show like the big wall and say, look what Israel's doing, that's the Egyptian border. There is no big wall on the Israeli border of Palestine.
Yeah, it's mostly like fences, except in some area it's mostly like fences. Like I looked at them like that's what you guys, that's what you have between you and these guys? Whereas Egypt built like one of the most amazing walls ever. And it's like, okay, kind of seems like you know what you're dealing. Kind of seems like Egypt knows what they're dealing with there, and is like, we do not want these guys anywhere near us.
Israel regulates calories, food, fuel, water, electricity, imports and exports. The Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International classify these conditions as collective punishment, which is illegal. Over 2 million people are confined in Gaza with no escape. We've watched the 830-day live stream genocide. All of us did. Almost There's estimates all over the place. Some people say it's 70,000. Some people say 700,000 civilians were killed. You can't tell me all of these people were Hamas.
700,000?
Because children make up 40 to 50% of the
Where'd
fatalities.
you get that, Mohammed Hijab?
Gaza has a population of 2.3 million people. If more than half are children under 18, and Hamas fighters, according to U.S. intelligence and Israeli intelligence, is only...
Hold up. If up to 700,000 people were killed, how did their population rise during the war? Their population rose, which generally is not a feature of genocides.
8,000 to
Yeah,
30,000.
so the estimates are everywhere. In other words, we have no idea, right? Well, at least he has no idea which one is accurate. He just has no idea. Some people say 7 people died. Some people say 700,000. We just have no idea which one might be correct.
Yeah, not even like the most exaggerated Hamas figures would say anything like that. And so he's saying something he saw in a tweet. Hey, Junior, I mean, if you're going there, why not just say 8 billion? Just say Israel killed 8 billion people in Gaza. That's the entire population of the world. They'd look really bad if you started spreading that one around.
Then 98% of Gaza's population are actually non-combatants. So when airstrikes flatten apartment towers, refugee camps, schools, hospitals, UN shelters, the people inside are overwhelmingly civilians, just by the math. Systematic destruction of homes, hospitals, and infrastructure became normal. Aid, food, water, and fuel restriction became normal. Why this matters legally is because this is the definition of genocide. Everything I just listed, killing, harming, and deliberately inflicting conditions of life calculated to bring about destruction or displacement, that's genocide, according to the UN Convention.
And that is not.
So let's talk about...
No, you left out some things which make it not that. Yeah, see, that's the thing. If you wanted to say they killed too many people or they shouldn't have dropped this bomb because too many civilians, I could actually agree with you on those things. I can't agree with a term that does not mean that. And that's you guys always have to make something up or apply some word that makes no sense to apply in the situation. So if you wanted to say, hey, they killed way too many people or they should have been way more careful or anything like that, you could actually make your case. As soon as you're like, this is the definition, and then you leave out the most relevant part of the definition, you already destroyed your credibility with anyone who didn't already agree with you.
Yeah, and I agree that those things said at least are bad in principle. Now, whether they actually are happening or not, that can be debated. But I certainly agree all those things would be bad. But they're not the definition of genocide. The definition of genocide is to try to eliminate a culture. It actually doesn't depend on the number of people killed. It could be 0 people killed and could still be a genocide by the UN definition, not by the popular definition.
You're trying to wipe out an ethnic group. And so...
Exactly, yeah.
So if you want to say that's what it was, because it's mainly based on intention. You are intending to completely wipe out a people group. The way Muhammad said that one of the ultimate goals of Islam is to completely wipe out the people group known as Jews. That's why he said the end will not come until you do that. You have to do that. What? Wipe them out. You have to completely wipe them out. So that is a goal of Islam. But yeah, it has a lot to do with the intent. And so this is you have a similar parallel when some random guy will go off and just kill a bunch of people, and then people will be like, and the Muslims will be like, why aren't you calling that terrorist? Why aren't you well, that would just be mass murder. The definition of terrorism, it has to be with a certain agenda in mind. You have to be doing it to support some ideology or something like that. If it's not that, it's just mass murder. Okay, it's mass. Keep in mind, we're not saying mass murder is good. We're saying, okay, if there's not an ideology or something like that you're promoting with the attack, it doesn't qualify as terrorism. Even if a Muslim did it, right? If you had a Muslim who just woke up one day and he's really enraged and just starts killing people at random, that would be mass murder. It wouldn't be a terrorist attack. If you're doing it to establish Islam or something like that, then it's a terrorist attack. So yeah, it's just, guys, use the right words. Maybe we wouldn't think you're trying to be deceptive.
Civilian deaths in Gaza are not an accident. They're a pattern. Let's look at the numbers again. Gaza population, 2.3 million. Over half of children are under 18, right? Over half.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to point out, that if you want to say that it's genocide and the population actually grew, then you'd have to say it's genocide based on their intention. They're trying to completely wipe out an ethnic group, but they're just really, really bad at it. They're terrible at it. They're so bad at it that while they're trying to completely wipe out an ethnic group, which they could do tomorrow if they really wanted to, they're trying to do it, but they just fail miserably. They're trying, but they fail. That's what you'd have to say. And then you kind of, then it kind of destroys your case because you present these guys as like these awesome masterminds and stuff like that, and they're just like, oh, we're trying to wipe out the whole population. We have all the weapons we need to do it, but we just can't figure it out. We just can't figure it out. And in fact, we're trying it, and their population is increasing. What are we doing? Dropping fertilizer on them? We don't know. We can't figure it out. We're so dumb.
Children under 18. Tens of thousands of children have been killed. The majority of casualties are women and children. International law literally requires a country and armies to distinguish civilians from fighters before killing. Israel has not done that. Israel repeatedly fails this obligation. When you look at this diagram, you'll see that out of 40,000 Gazans that were killed, the overwhelmingly majority is 100% civilian demographic.
Wait, it's 40,000?
The overwhelming majority. 143 Palestinians have lost a child.
You know, I mean, the number changes.
Over 40,000 children have lost one or both parents. Since 2023.
So what he said there was just, not, it was technically true, right? Of course, international law requires a military to distinguish between shooting at enemy combatants and, indiscriminately killing citizens. But that doesn't mean that you can't drop a bomb on a city, which is obviously going to kill a lot of people who are not combatants.
Which happens in every war where people are dropping bombs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And war's bad. I don't like war. But you have to distinguish between the reality of the situation and the claim, right? Because he's acting like, or he's trying to use language that sounds like they're just lining people up and indiscriminately shooting them. And that's not the situation at all, right? Yes, civilians, people who are non-combatants have absolutely died. That is not inaccurate. But you have to say in what way did they die, right? Did they die because a bomb was dropped and they were shrapnel hit them? Did they die because they starved? Did they die because they were shot by a stray bullet hit them after it ricocheted off something? I mean, there's a lot of possibilities of how someone would die, and to make no distinction whatsoever, I think is really dishonest and is part of the propaganda. Like, even if it's technically true, phrasing it that way is propaganda.
Yeah, and just by comparison, guys, so there were tens of millions of people who died in World War II, to the point where you can't even get like close to a real number, but you're in the 60s, 60 millions and so on. 2/3 of those were civilian casualties. And guess what? Armies generally weren't targeting civilians, right? You had armies marching out and going in tanks against each other. And so you had big fields and stuff where the Germans would go out and the Americans would go out, and Patton and so on. So you had that, but if you're lots of those casualties are dropping bombs. And so guess what? 2/3 of the casualties of you're talking tens of millions of civilian casualties. That doesn't make it, we're not saying that's okay. That's extremely messed up, but we're pointing that is a reality of how wars work. It sucks, but that's how it works. It's especially bad if you have people who run and hide among civilians, who go and hide in tunnels beneath the civilians and so on. So then in order to get to the terrorists, you have to kill civilians who are in the way. Guess what? Germans didn't do that. Americans didn't do that. British didn't do that. French didn't do that. These guys didn't run and slaughter a bunch of people and then run and hide underground underneath civilians so that you maximize civilian casualties. They didn't do that. This group does it. There's one group that I know of that does that regularly as their method. So, in other words, Hamas wants to you're complaining about civilian casualties and you're supporting a group, because he's on the pro-Hamas side, that deliberately maximizes their own civilian casualties.
Well, and Israeli as well, right? I mean, when did Hamas target Israeli military targets? Never, as far as I know. They just target whoever
they did go after some bases during the attack and stuff like that. But yeah, it was mostly civilian casualties on the October 7th attacks. But yeah, weird situation that Jvnior has a problem with the civilian casualties, but he's supporting a group that deliberately maximizes their own civilian casualties so that those figures can be used by people like Jvnior.
Mm-hmm.
That means Israel has created 40,000 orphans. Then we have the Hamas label.
I mean, oh, by the way, you should probably rewind that to get Junior's brilliant logic there, because we cut it off in the middle. You didn't hear his amazing logic.
Well, I saw from the screen, and he said 40,000 children have lost one or both parents. Yeah,
Yes.
you're talking
40,000
you're talking millions of children lost one or both parents in World War II, right? That also happens. So if a Hamas jihadi has 5 kids, and the Hamas jihadi gets killed, well, that's 5 kids that have lost one or both parents. So yeah, that doesn't seem that particular figure doesn't seem to help very much.
Since 2023, that means Israel has created 40,000 orphans. Then we have the Hamas label. Hamas, Israel labels me as Hamas. They label all Palestinians as Hamas, right? When there's actually 20,000 to
No, I've never
30,000
seen them
fighters
do that.
according to their own intelligence. The term Hamas itself is an acronym for
Well, he
Harakat al-Tawala
contradicted
al-Islamiyya. And if
himself,
you look at the
because he said they label everyone in Palestine that, and then he said, but their own intelligence says that they aren't, which means they don't label them that way. Right? So he contradicted himself.
Yeah, where's the source on? Where's the source? The Israeli government has declared every Palestinian is Hamas. Where? Never seen it.
acronym, the initials are Hamai. It's supposed to be Hamai. So why did Israel choose the name Hamas? Because Hamas means aggression in Hebrew. And if they use that word in the media, in the news, they're more likely to get support from their people. They're not the only resistance group in Palestine.
Wait a second. Did he say Israel named them Hamas because it sounds like aggression?
Uh-huh.
Wait, Israel named Hamas Hamas. He just said that.
Yeah. Well, the acronym anyway.
And he said it should end in I. It should end in I, but it doesn't because the Jews changed the name to Hamas because it sounds like aggression. Okay, buddy. All right.
Yeah. So this comes up in the rebuttal for sure. When I heard that, I'm like, there's no way that's true. There's no way that's true. So I looked it up. Of course, it's not true.
Yeah.
It is true that it wouldn't be the proper acronym per se, but it was a choice that Hamas themselves did, right? They chose that acronym probably for what it means in Arabic rather than what it means in Hebrew. But either way, they chose those letters, not, the Jewish people a decade later or whatever.
The Jews even named our group to make us look bad. Oh, those Jews.
Actually originated from the Muslim Brotherhood. So Hamas itself is considered a terrorist organization because of the Muslim Brotherhood label. But because Hamas...
Well, that and the fact that they keep launching terrorist attacks, that actually helps them. So, in other words, if they had zero connection to the Muslim Brotherhood terrorist group and just came out of nowhere completely on their own and they started launching a bunch of terrorist attacks and calling for terrorism, then they'd be labeled a terrorist group, buddy.
And just in case you're confused, Jvnior is arguing that Hamas is not bad. And he puts in his opening statement,
or at
Hamas
the very least,
is a terrorist group. Yeah, that's true.
In the same conversation, we can also say that Israel is also a terrorist organization. Since agreeing to the Gaza ceasefire, Israel has violated it nearly 1,000 times. This is the ceasefire that was agreed upon last year, by the way. They killed over 400 Palestinians. There's so many ways that Israel has failed to keep its promises in the past. And this is a known pattern by Israel since 2008. In 2008, they shattered the November 4 ceasefire. In 2012 to 2014, they broke so many UN brokered ceasefires. In 2014, all ceasefires were broken within 14 days. 2023 to present, they have violated thousands of times. And this is reported by the UN and OCHA.
The whole belief of Zionism is the idea that the land of Palestine, British mandated.
Is this that other dude? I don't recall hearing him
so
talk.
Julian takes over here for the second half of the opening statement.
Do we know what Jvnior and Julian? Do we know what Julian is? Is he Muslim, atheist? We don't know.
I assume he's a Muslim. I didn't watch where the part where they introduced the speakers. I jumped to where they started talking, but I think he's a Muslim. I'm not 100% certain, but he seems to fully support everything Islamic.
Yeah, people are pointing out. I mean, he's got Jew in his name.
Yeah,
Maybe he's Mossad.
back in 1948 and before that was promised to the Jewish people. And this is a concept that Jews rejected for a long period of time because the religion teaches that Zionism is not a construct within their religion. And it's also a relatively new term that only existed for 120 years. And while Judaism is 3,000 years old, Israel's backup plan is pretty much that if they don't have Israel to their own, they have to choose whether Argentina, Paraguay, Cyprus, Greece, and even Pantagolia in the case of Israel's collapses. And also, you also have factors that Israeli billionaires buy off land in case Israel were to ever self-destruct. Or
they literally just burned Patagonia in Argentina, which is breaking news right now, just so they could buy the land cheaper. Can you believe that? Go ahead, Jules.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe that.
Jews, but I saw it on Twitter. I saw it on Twitter.
I don't really get what the point of it. Yeah, sorry.
Oh no, that was great. I don't understand.
I was just saying, I don't really get what the point of this slide is. Like, Jews have a backup plan of somewhere to flee in case they lose their land. Okay, that makes them evil. How exactly? I really don't get it. I really don't get what the point of this slide's supposed to be.
Stop trying to make sense of Junior and Julian. You will fail.
Israel's reputation is down through the hill. Right now, the Israeli prime minister is a war criminal wanted by the ICC, the International Criminal Court, for committing a genocide towards the Palestinians. And if you think I'm lying, there's literally Holocaust scholars literally specifying that they are committing a genocide. And not just any scholars, yeah, literally Jewish Holocaust scholars that
it says literally like every other word.
Specified that what's happening in Gaza right now is a genocide. Ali Khamenei is 86 years old, which makes him older than the state of Israel currently standing, which is 77 years old. Okay. And also,
let's talk about the harsh reality. I know that was a joke, but let's get back to reality. Tell them the reality now.
So Junior has to jump in and be like, "That was supposed to be a joke, guys. It seemed like it was just a pointless fact, but it was supposed to be a joke, guys."
Joke flopped.
Gang rape Palestinian prisoner, okay, because Israel has a tendency of raping Palestinians in the whole prison cells that they hold Palestinians in. Yep. So with the whole ratio of Israelis being held hostage by the whole Palestinians after October 7th, and also Israeli holding Palestinians in prison cells. What Israel decides to do with the Palestinians in prison cells is pretty much rape them and pretty much just treat them like there was a video that came out the other day, which Israeli soldiers were literally blocking off the view
literally
of Israelis raping a 14-year-old girl. How can that be justified?
Yep. And this guy,
is it justified? Does the Israeli government justify it? Or was the person who committed the crime punished? Right, that's a relevant question to ask.
Well, yeah, and before that, I'd have to say what actually happened, because these guys are correct like what 1% of the time, and other than that, they'll take something that they saw circulating on X and state it as fact. There's a reason people talk about Pallywood.
Was involved, by the way, Mayor Ben Shitrit. He was the one who was prosecuted for this because he was the one doing the raping. And recently he was seen in a video laughing with Sarah Ophir, who kidnapped and tortured and killed a Palestinian on October 7th. And they were laughing on video. Can you believe that? But before we go off, Israel shot a little girl, Hind Rajab, with 355 bullets. If you guys want to check out the movie, it's called The Voice of Hind Rajab. Okay, and 65% of Israelis support the right to rape prisoners. Okay. I mean, the harsh reality is you have 76 confirmed suicides, 2,100 attempted suicides, according to Rabbi Shmuley, but 0 Hamas suicides.
If anyone still asks who is more in the wrong, the answer is lies in the media of Israel. In the minds of soldiers themselves, Israeli troops are coming home psychologically shattered, that record numbers are taking their own lives or attempting to, not because of Hamas, but because deep down they know what they are doing is wrong. You do not experience moral collapse from defending your home. You experience it from destroying somebody else's. That is the difference between resistance and occupation.
Yeah, I would think more along the lines of Hamas jihadis. They're kind of raised this way all their lives, whereas people who are joining the IDF, you see them there. They're like, hey, there was a terrorist attack. They've never been soldiers before, and they run and volunteer. We saw it. We saw one of the big enlisting things of just regular people coming out with their, with their families and stuff like that to enlist in the military. Well, guess what? You take some of those people and send them into a war zone bloodbath, Some of them people are coming back seriously messed up. That's also reality. No, it's just, I mean, think World War I, World War II. Did the U.S. did U.S. soldiers think, oh, we're wrong, we're so wrong for stopping the Germans? No, but tons of those people came back messed up. Tons of them came back messed up. All right.
Yeah,
So
I found that last argument especially disturbing, that they're trying to weaponize suicide, or they're trying to weaponize people who are disturbed by what they saw in war and use that as a proof that they are wrong, right? Because you are traumatized by what you saw in war, and now you have mental issues. They're like, oh, you see, this proves that Israel's evil. And it's like, what? I found that to be particularly disgusting personally.
yeah, not a great argument. Yeah, we'll see. Let's take these super chats, and then we'll check out the opening statement from AP and Issa. D-Wood, can you make a poll as to who's more unhinged, Malik or Jvnior? Genuinely curious. I'd say Malik. Jvnior is like stupid and a compulsive liar and probably can't even tell when he's lying because that's how stupid he is. But no, Malik is, I'm trying to think. I mean, with Malik, it reminds me, not in the sense of him being important, but like Pharaoh, how he just he's completely just getting destroyed by divine judgment and being destroyed, and he just can't stop. And it said, at first in Exodus, it would say, and Pharaoh hardened his heart, and Pharaoh hardened his heart, and Pharaoh hardened his heart. And then it starts saying, and God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Like he was like, okay, now I'm locking you into this. Now I'm locking you into this. And you look at Malik, and he's kind of like that, where you're looking at this going, it makes zero sense what you're doing right now. Like you have to, oh, I'm going to say something about David's grandmother. Okay, I've literally, I've got your prophet soaking in urine here, and stuff like this is happening on a daily basis, and it's like, what are you thinking? How do you think? How is this making sense to be doing this in your head? And it's just like, oh, you're extremely unhinged. You're either extremely unhinged, like you're losing it because you can't stand it because you're a narcissist. So there's that. Or you're like, you are a Mossad agent or something like that. It's deliberate. You are trying to destroy Islam from within. Or you're like under divine judgment. Because I can't imagine demons wanting you to do this, right? Demons would be on your side, not, making you destroy Islam. So, he's definitely unhinged though. Unless the only way Malik is not completely unhinged is if all of this is deliberate. He's doing it on purpose to wreck Islam. Hippo character. Oh, that's a super sticker. Thank you. And 85 IQ. That was a typo on my part. That was the person who said 95. Jvnior said to Nick Fearless that the question is stupid because the bus would run over them both. He doesn't have the intellectual capacity to understand the intent behind the question. What do you mean run over them both? You're talking about like in a one of the trolley questions? I don't know.
Yeah, so it was reference to the first super chat, which I think was that Jvnior said he wouldn't push his own child out of front of a bus because his logic was it would just kill both of them instead of only one of them that way, I think.
Okay. That's the second largest monkey head I've ever seen. So apparently Jvnior has a bigger monkey. Please do a psychoanalysis of Julian. Well, I've only heard a couple of words so far, so I need more to go on than that. Nobody won points in this debate, just lost IQ points. Am I the only one who thought that Julian Clown sounded like Walter Jr. from Breaking Bad, and Walter Jr. actually has a functioning brain? Zoot zoot. Ben Shapiro posted in Daily Wire Candace podcast an AI song called My Miniature Jew Horse to mock her diss of him. Funniest thing I heard this year. I'll have to check that out. It's like the monkey turning a crank at a circus. It's not cognitively aware enough to know the demeaning position it's in. I'm actually reaching a point of pity the more and more I hear Jvnior speak and argue. That's a good attitude to have. Farfor revealed to me in a dream that 700,000 children died in Palestine. Trust me, I come from a future where Candace asked the right questions and broke the matrix. That is where Candace's investigations now go, and that is her evidence. It's theories about time-traveling agents and so on, and secret Sumerian technology, and of course, all this stuff gets verified by her dreams. Islam embodies 3 of the 4 chaos gods from Warhammer, Corn, Murder, Slaanesh, Hedonism, and I don't know any of this stuff. You said Warhammer. Is this video game stuff?
Yeah, maybe.
Tell Hamas to stop using women and children as shields. Tell Hamas to wear military uniforms to identify themselves as combatants. Well, if you're trying to maximize civilian deaths, that's not going to work. So they're not going to go with that. So we can tell them that. They won't do it. War never changes. E-I-E-I-O, zoot that Quran. Yeah, guys. Hey, did Eric release his video yet?
I assume he did. I wasn't looking because I was getting ready for this, but
yeah, guys. Eric here, your brother in Christ. He had an absolute banger, not in the zoot sense, but he had an absolute banger video. We saw it before he released it. I don't know if he released it yet. But awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Definitely want to check that out. One of the best responses to the Malik challenge so far.
Yep. I'm grabbing the link right now. I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, he did it already? Posted it?
Yep, it is live.
All right. We might check it out before the end of the show. We might check it out. We might go ahead and check that out because that's definitely worth, definitely a classic. Jvnior wishes he got unalived at 1946. Bizarre. Not surprising. Pretty weird dude. All of images that Jvnior used are AI generated look-alike. Islam has no originality since the inception. Allah copying the title. These nuts using GPT for his conscious edit, and now an AI image.
So I edited it out, but AP does call him out for using AI to make his presentation. I cut that part out because it was irrelevant to the actual argument, but he did get called out for it live.
Well, it's actually funny because that's what Jvnior did in his debate with AP at DebateCon. He's like, and you're just using Chat GPT, and AP like shows him his laptop. There's no Chat GPT on here. And then when AP is responding, he goes, look, Junior's using Chat GPT right now. Like he could see it on his screen. So he's accusing AP of using it. AP's not using it while he's actually using it. That's what we're dealing with here, guys. Let me just get this video for later. Let's see. Where is it, man? I don't even see it. Oh, there we go. I see it. Classic, classic, classic. I'll download this for later, and we'll check it out. Oh, wait, I can't transfer files here. Yeah, we'll just have to pull it up on YouTube or something. We'll see. I might pull it up this weekend and stuff like that. That'll be easier, and I can check the volume and all that stuff. All right, so Jvnior's the embodiment of saying, Jvnior is the embodiment of the saying, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. I haven't even seen a little knowledge yet from this guy. If I were them, I would do an east-west style wall, 2 walls, barbed wire, and towers in the middle to indulge the Darwin fans. So was it hilarious modern-day debate?
James seemed to have some fun with this debate. Also some embarrassment for sure.
Yeah. Everything Hamas does makes them unlawful combatants. Ergo, they are not protected by the Geneva Convention. Legally, Israel can do whatever they want. Yeah, you're not allowed to pull that stunt, going launching a terrorist attack and then running and hiding among civilians. Mm-hmm. Jvnior loves his propagandawa. There you go. Propagandawa. Dr. Malik, yeah, you should probably go to the doctor if it leaks. Dr. Malik. Israel defending itself bad. Sheesh. Yes, it is. Difference between Hamas and IDF. You have to be psychopathic to enlist in the first. You can become psychotic after enlisting in the second. Yeah. That has a lot to do with like people's basic like psychological makeup. Some people can't put up with certain things and shouldn't be in war, but you don't always know that until they've gone through some stuff and then it turns out bad. I defended my family from evil people and had PTSD. Yeah, again, I mean, World War I, World War II. Everyone believed what they were fighting for. And some people saw way too much horrible. I mean, you see your, your buddies getting massacred in front of you, and you're like the, one of the only ones who survives, and all your buddies get, that can mess you up. As someone who got a chance to talk with Jvnior with my mom at DebateCon last year, we pray that he comes to Jesus and leaves Islam behind.
Amen.
But yeah, Jvnior, we want you to come to Christ. We do not want you debating for Christ, okay? So you will have other things to do. You'll have other things to do. We got Muhammad. I honestly believe Julian is more restarted than Jvnior, and Jvnior has the most zooted brain in Palestine's 7,000-year history.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Julian had any experience. He definitely seemed very nervous. So I don't know how much was intelligence and how much was just inexperience and nervousness, to be honest.
Can you pause the stream? I need to rinse the devil out of my nose. We better do that quickly. Someone challenge Jvnior to debate al-Zut. Yeah, let's see. Probably do it. And yes, it's true. Muhammad did, but it's okay. He's the prophet. He can do what he wants. Something like that. All right, guys. So here we have, next up, we have Issa and AP, their opening statement.
And like with the first one, Issa starts with a long history. I cut off the part that, like the ancient history part, I cut off of the history. But he goes through the whole history of the territory and who controlled it and all that stuff.
All right, here we go.
So we basically have these very important dates. 1917, we have the Balfour Declaration. We have the San Remo Conference that formalizes the British Mandate. The escalations of tensions leads to...
Hey, he's kind of zooming through this stuff, guys. But yes, one very important takeaway that so many people don't seem to get. There wasn't some country called Palestine. This was all part of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire. This whole area that's now Gaza and Israel and the West Bank, that was all a tiny little part of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire fought in World War I on the side of the Germans, and they lost. And so they were taken over by, the Ottoman Empire was taken over in various places by the British and the French and so on. And this area, that particular area right now, that is now Israel and Gaza and the West Bank, that was controlled by the British. It was called the British Mandate of Palestine. Palestine after is what the Romans called it after they tried to wipe out all memory of the Jews, and they named it Palestine. So anyway, that area until it became Israel and these Palestinian territories and so on. Before that, it was the British Mandate. It's controlled by the British.
violent riots within Hebron and Safed, which marks the beginning of communal violence between Jews and Arabs. Then we see the Arab Revolt in 1936 that opposes the British rule and Jewish immigration, and that lasts for 3 years, which causes significant casualties on both sides. The UN proposes a partition plan. The Jewish leadership accepts it. The Arab leaders reject it, which then leads into the 5 Arab nations that invade Israel. So we have 1948, Israel declares independence. This is where we would see, depending on which side you're on, the War of Independence or the Nakba. So this is important to look at this. And as stated before, the Arab states invade, and then you have a refugee crisis that emerges. So this is important because Jordan is a part of this conversation. Jordan, becomes a part of the partitioned land. Then you have...
I need Issa to make I don't think he's using PowerPoint. He's using something else, but this is cool. He needs to make my presentations for me because his are way cooler.
He has quite a nice presentation.
I mean, in a weird way, that kind of makes you a nerd. So I don't want the reputation of a nerd, but I can always say, hey, I didn't make this. I didn't make this. I didn't make this presentation.
Egyptian control, and this impacts on Palestinian nationalism, which then leads to geopolitical tensions. Okay, so this leads to our 1967, our Six-Day War, and this drastically alters the geopolitical landscape. The rise of the PLO. This is important because this is the first organization, which was founded in 1964, which we'll see Yasser Arafat and Fatah, as well as Marwan Barghouti. So it begins as a militant organization, then it shifts to diplomacy. Then we see Hamas emerging. Hamas established in 1987 during the first Intifada, which then represents a significant shift in Palestinian resistance movement grounded in Islamist ideology. It rejects the existence of Israel and advocates for armed struggle, marking a departure from previous diplomatic approaches. So this is important to look at PLO versus Hamas, that the PLO is secular and has diplomacy politics and is internationally recognized. It does have authoritarian leaning, but we could see on the other, there's limited under PLO and it supports elections. Hamas has none of the above. Hamas is not just a resistance movement. Hamas is also a governmental organization. So it has a job that it's supposed to serve the Palestinians. In every space, it has failed. It has not done any governance, but we will look into that later. That is citations for that. I do have two other presentations, but I'm going to hand it off over to AP.
There is a lot of stuff that the pro-Hamas side has said here that is just completely messed up. And
You better respond to the name, AP. He said Israel name.
Well, this isn't technically the rebuttal, but he does start doing a little bit
it's
of
an opening
rebuttal.
statement. Okay. Oh, yeah, still in the
This
opening
still is
statement.
the opening.
Okay.
now, there's something very funny to point out here. Jvnior, for example, said, and this is just one example of how unreliable this is. He said that Israel began to use the word Hamas, although
I
Hamas
guess great minds think alike.
simply stands for Harakat al-Muqawama al-Islamiyya, which would normally be Hamai, but Hamas is a bad word in Hebrew, which is why Israel chose this word. That's complete nonsense. Here's the Hamas charter from 1988. It was Hamas themselves who chose the acronym Hamas for themselves. They
Because
chose
the
their
Jews
name.
made them.
They put it out there. You can just
The Jews used the powerful mind control lasers to make them say that.
search for this yourself. You can search Hamas Covenant 1988. You will even find here, if you search for it, this covenant of the Islamic resistance movement, Hamas. You will find this exactly like this, abbreviated in Arabic, and then points out their struggles. Now, there's of course a lot of interesting stuff here, but since we're talking about Hamas specifically, I want to come to my favorite part of the Hamas Charter. My favorite part of the Hamas Charter here is the following. Here in 1988, Hamas said the following: moreover, if the links have been distant from each other and if obstacles placed by those who are the lackeys of Zionism in the way of the fighters obstructed the continuation of the struggle, the Islamic resistance movement, Hamas, aspires to the realization of Allah's promise, no matter how long that should take. And now let's hear what that promise is. The promise is the following. The Prophet, Allah bless him and grant him salvation, has said, the day of judgment will not come about until Muslims fight the Jews, kill the Jews, when the Jew will hide behind stones and trees. The stones and trees will say, O Muslim, O servant of Allah, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him. Only the gargat tree, which is a random tree, evidently a certain kind of tree.
You telling me he didn't say Garkett ain't no snitch? Come on, dude. Come on, AP. I was waiting for it. The Garkett.
You just said, "Wish ain't no snitch."
Yeah. Come on, AP. That would have been like me in Times Square when Sadiq said Christianity is based. If I hadn't jumped in there with, oh, he said Christianity is based, that would be, oh, come on, golden opportunity. But you actually were prepared for this one, man. It's your opening statement. Come on, man.
As they also point out, would not do that because it is one of the trees of the Jews. This is Hamas. This is what Hamas stands for. Their ultimate goal is the full destruction and elimination and extermination of Jews. The charter further continues, I would encourage anyone who has any interest in this conflict at all to sit down and read through this entire thing. You will be horrified if you actually think that Hamas is a resistance movement. Because what they also say here is that there is no greater pleasure than to kill and die for Allah.
That's true.
Jvnior says that 5,000 to 7,000 years ago, there was Palestine. There was no such thing called Palestine. Palestine did not exist. He says there were Canaanites, all right? Canaanites have nothing to do with Palestine. Canaanites were people in the land who are also the ancestors of the Israelites, of the Hebrew people, and of many others who lived in that land, and from whom many of the cultural aspects of Middle Eastern cultures originate. The Palestinians were not around at any point here. There was a group called the Philistines, who were called Philistines because they were invaders, and that's a word for invasion. And they were called Philistines by the Egyptians and by the Israelites and by others. They arrived only in this area at around 1200 BC, around the same time that we first see Israel, the word Israel, inscribed on certain tablets.
Yeah, and guys, Philistines, if you're not familiar with the Bible, that's those are the people like King Saul and King David were fighting against. So they were invaders from they came across the ocean. Some people think they were Greek and so on, that they came down there, set up a settlement and stuff, and started trying to take over things. And so the Romans rolled with that and adapted it as Palestine from Philistia. as kind of an insult and to just call it something else that was dissociated from the Jews.
These Philistines were tiny invaders who were only at a little part where Gaza is approximately nowadays. And later, by 700 BC, were never again heard of. According to the Bible, they were defeated and they basically disappeared. That is the entire history of anything that comes close to Palestine. When Rome takes over this place, they name the place where Jews live today as the province of Judea or Judea. Only later on, after the Bar Kokhba revolt in the 2nd century, did Rome decide to spite and to suppress Jewish identity, to rename this land, which was the province of Judea, into Syria Palestina. Syria Palestina, based simply on their fascination with Greek and the Greek habit of calling a certain part of that region Philistia. The Ottomans themselves, who ruled that place for the longest time, never officially called that place Philistine. Can you believe it? They never officially called that place Philistine, despite the fact that they were Muslims and Turks. They referred to that place by different names and divided it into different territories. Only the British, when they took that place over from the Ottomans, began referring to that place once again as Palestine, based on the Roman habit of calling it Palestina. And their goal was to establish a homeland for Jews. Jvnior claimed that Jews only came there after the Second World War. That's complete nonsense. Or during the Second World War. That's complete nonsense. After the Second World War, or during the Second World War, the amount of Jews who came there as a result of persecution under Nazis were only a minority of Jews who lived there by the year 1948. Jews wanted a land where both sides can live in peace. That never worked out for the Arabs, because the Arabs were led by absolute monsters, like Hajj Amin al-Husseini, who also was an ally of Hitler, and whom Hitler promised the complete extermination of Jews in that land. The Arabs were mostly Muslims who believed in their Prophet Muhammad, who said, "I will expel the Jews and the Christians from the Arabian Peninsula." Who said, "Let there be curse by Allah upon the Jews and the Christians, for they have taken the graves of their apostles as places of worship." Today, the Palestinian Authority, this is directly from the Palestinian Authority from October 20th, 2023, the Palestinian Authority, supposedly secular, still preaches in their mosques this very narration by Muhammad, which is also in the Hamas Charter, which says that eventually the time will come when we will exterminate the Jews. They cry victim, but they keep repeating these announcements of extermination again and again and again. I just want to ask a very, very bold question. In fact, I asked this question when I went to Israel, and I talked to one of the former Israeli the IDF spokespeople. I said, "Hey, by every single evidence that we have, these guys want to genocide you. So what would necessarily be wrong with you instead doing it to them?" The IDF former spokesman said to me, "Well, it's not what we do. Israel has no stated aim of genociding the Palestinians. Never had. You know who does have a stated aim of genociding the other side? The Palestinians. Hamas, the Palestinian Authority. They have always had it. They have it to this day. Only 2 years ago, and also prominently in 2018, the major Hamas spokesperson in Arabic in Gaza, Fatih Hamad, said very, very notoriously to the crowds during the peaceful March of Return, he said to them, "The time will come when we will cleanse the land. It will come very soon when we will cleanse the land of the filth of the Jews. And then the second goal will be the establishment of the caliphate."
Yep, that is correct. So AP there, guys, is pointing out, hey, you've got two sides here. One actually has it as their official doctrine to completely exterminate the other side. And the other side does not have that doctrine. And so what do you actually have? You have one side constantly reacting to the other side, wanting to completely exterminate them. And then the side that's calling for the complete extermination of the other side, then they start complaining, "Hey, you're bombing us. And by bombing us, you're stopping us from completely exterminating you. What's wrong with you people?" All right, so guys, those are the opening statements. All right, go ahead.
As someone that's, fairly neutral, obviously I'm not completely neutral. Obviously I oppose Islam. So, you could say that I'm somewhat against Palestine, but relative to a lot of people, relative to AP, certainly pretty neutral on this topic. Just from a pure debate standpoint, AP and Issa did much better on their opening statement. It was much more focused. It's actually much more difficult for me to chop it down to a reasonable length because they actually talked about a lot of stuff, whereas the other guys repeated themselves a lot. It was not that hard to cut it down to a more reasonable length. And I thought the ending there was very powerful by AP, where he says, we're debating which one's worse. I don't have to say Israel's good, right? I just have to say one of these sides says they want to massacre everyone. The other one doesn't say that.
Hey,
right?
everyone get that point right there? That's what's the actual topic? Like it's something like which one's best or which one's worse or something like that. And so, yeah, neither side needs to defend everything that their side has done. You just have to say, it's better than the other guys. And so AP there, one side calls for the extermination of the other side, and the other side doesn't want to do that too. The guy, even to the guys who want to do that to them. So that would be a big difference as far as like who's worse. All right, let's see. Take these couple super chats, and then we'll jump into the rebuttals, guys. The rebuttals. And then the weirdest thing that's ever happened to a monkey on YouTube. I like Thad's monkey. Also, hola. Hey, hola! Kit Kat for Christ. They didn't ruin us. They didn't ruin us. I defended us, but it was bad. Yeah, you. It's always good if you're not like permanently messed up after a war. Jesus cooked Junior in this debate, mashallah. The book, What Justice Demands by Jvnior is an excellent breakdown of the whole Israel-Palestine conflict. What Justice Demands. Interesting. Two more. Don't you owe Jake an episode of the Boom Boom Room? Do I? Like with Jake in it? Or you mean like I owe him an episode but with other people in it? It'd be kind of weird to put Jake in an episode of the Boom Boom Room. He's not that big yet, even though he wants to be. And if I had him in the Boom Boom Room, he'd just be like whining about everyone else and saying they're not real Muslims. This debate was hydrogen bomb, AP and Issa versus coughing baby, Jvnior and Julian. Yeah, both these guys have Jew in their name. They're pretending they're not Mossad agents who have no purpose other than making the Hamas side look as dumb as possible. Dumb. Be realistic.
I just noticed the logos there it says pro-Israel and anti-Israel, but for now it shouldn't be
pro-Hamas.
Israel and Hamas.
Yeah, it should be pro-Israel versus pro-Hamas. Yeah, I mean it's accurate. They are anti-Israel, but yeah. But what about Epstein? Debate over. That's what they should have said. What about Epstein? Maybe Junior. Maybe Junior will come up with that brilliant response. All right, guys. So now we have Junior and Julian's rebuttal. We all good here, Thaddeus?
Yep.
All right. Let's see what Junior and Julian come up with.
I just want to read Article 16 from this document that was published by Hamas. You can clearly read here, if you guys can all see it. It says, Hamas affirms that its conflict is with the Zionist project, not with the Jews because of their religion. Hamas does not wage a struggle against the Jews because they are Jewish, but wages a struggle against the Zionists who occupy Palestine. Yet, it is the Zionists who constantly identify Judaism and the Jews with their own colonial project and illegal entity.
Is this from their updated version? Because, I mean, they literally quote the passage from Muhammad, which is not about Zionists, it's about Jews and their original charter. I know they didn't update along the way.
Charter. I think this is just a document they put out recently. I don't think that this is the charter.
Oh, okay. Let's see. So, yeah. Now they want to be, oh, no, we don't have a problem with Jews.
Hamas rejects the persecution of any human being or the undermining of his and her right on nationalist, religious, or sectarian grounds. Hamas is of the view that the Jewish problem, anti-Semitism, and the persecution of Jews are fundamentally linked to the European history and not to the history of the Arabs and the Muslims or to their heritage. The Zionist movement, which was able, with the help of Western powers, to occupy Palestine, is the most dangerous form of settlement occupation, which has already disappeared from much of the world and must disappear from Palestine. So this is it's called the Document of General Principles and Policies from Hamas. Okay. Then we have this document here that I was able to pull up.
So in other words, that's a document that once they realized that people could just point to their charter and say, what you're calling for the complete extermination of all Jews. Kind of a big deal as far as us taking you seriously in any context. And then, no, we don't have a problem with Jews. It's just with the Zionists. And you saw the same thing on college campuses. No, we don't have a problem with Jews. It's just the Zionists. And then, the truth will come out. And by the way, it's complete nonsense. When they're talking, they're not saying Zionists. They're saying Jews. When they talk in Arabic, when they do translations and stuff, they'll say the Zionists. When they're talking to their Arab buddies, it's the Jews, and we will strike the Jews. Nice
Well,
try,
and
guys.
if you're in Israel, there really isn't a difference because, I mean, Zionism just means that you believe that Israel has a right to a state, a national state. And if you live in the state, you probably believe the state should exist. So it's just a word game. And it's really pathetic because people use this word Zionism to be anti-Semitic all the time, not just Hamas, but all kinds of people use it. They say the most disgusting things that they obviously intend to apply to all Jews. And they say, but I'm only talking about Zionists, as if there's a difference in their mind. Of course, there is technically a difference, but there's no difference in the mind of people who are using that language.
Yeah, and some of their slogans, the Kaibar slogan, it's not about Zionists, guys. That's directed towards Jews. It's Jews. Army of Muhammad's coming for you.
That says this was in 1988, okay, just to prove to you how Hamas is evolving its views and how its views were never how you described it. So in this 19
He literally quoted their charter to show what their views are. And then he says, just to show you that that wasn't their view. Okay.
Well, he says
80.
their views have changed, but also their views have always been this way, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I have to say their views haven't changed at all, as far as I can tell. Their propaganda has changed. Like back then they could say it, and now other people are watching and they use their charter against them to show what their real agenda is. And so, yeah, now they moderate their language to appeal more to a Western audience.
a charter. This is article, I believe, this is in the introduction. In Article 20, here, if I just pull it up, it's going to say the same thing I just said, but just in a different language. This is the Islamic spirit which ought to prevail in any Muslim society, a society which confronts a vicious, Nazi-like enemy who does not differentiate between man and woman, elder and young, ought to be the first to adorn itself with this Islamic spirit. Our enemy pursues the style of collective punishment, which I've proved that Israel is collectively punishing and that this is illegal under international law. Israel is collectively punishing Palestinians, right? And they're destroying properties and pursuing them into exile in places of assembly. It has resorted to breaking bones, opening fire on women and children, the old, with or without reason, and to setting up detention camps where
It is weird that they have a problem with collective punishment. I mean, when Hamas launched their attack, they were killing everyone. It wasn't, we just have to get the military or the leaders or something like that. They were killing tons and tons of civilians. But also, if you really have a problem with this sort of collective punishment, I mean, what happened when some of the Jews in Medina turned against Muhammad? What did he do? He slaughtered everyone who'd reached puberty and enslaved the rest. So what is that? You're punishing the entire population, even the civilians. So if you regard it as evil, then Muhammad was an evil scumbag, Junior, according to your own reasoning here.
thousands upon thousands are interred in inhuman conditions. In addition, it destroys houses, renders children orphans, and issues oppressive judgments against thousands of young people who spend the best years of their youth in the darkness of prisons. The Nazism of the Jews does not skip women and children. It scares everyone. They make war against people's livelihood, plunder their monies, and threaten their honor. In their horrible actions, they mistreat people like the most horrendous war criminals. Exiling people from their country is another way of killing them. As we face this misconduct, we have no escape from establishing social...
You know who exiled lots of Jews, entire tribes of Jews, before slaughtering the Jews of Qurayza? Muhammad. Kicked out entire populations. In fact, Muhammad said, it wasn't carried out until Umar, but Muhammad said that he would expel the Jews and Christians from the entire Arabian Peninsula and not leave any but Muslims there. There were Jews and Christians living there for centuries. Muhammad said, expel them all. So you're saying, kicking someone off a land is worse than killing them and so on. Interesting. So Muhammad, I have to say, based on Junior's presentation, Muhammad is like absolutely evil, terrible, terrible, terrible. Can't even be called a human being based on how evil he was, according to Junior.
Solidarity among the people from confronting the enemy as one solid body, so that if one organ is hurt, the rest of the body will respond with alertness and fervor. I've said this many times. Hamas is just another resistance group. Yes, they may have stemmed from the Muslim Brotherhood. That's where they got their terrorist label, but they do not act like terrorists. Israel has this fake PR
What?
campaign like 40 beheaded babies, Hamas is raping our women and children, when in reality, every accusation from Israel is actually a confession. Whether they have evidence or not about Hamas doing this doesn't matter, because we have evidence that Israel is doing these things. We've shown you.
Wait, what? Whether there's evidence that they did these things doesn't matter? I think it matters.
Yeah.
And
I thought this whole rebuttal was very strange to me.
everyone who actually investigated, including like leftist journalists who went and actually looked at the evidence, said, yeah, there was massive like sexual assault of women and so on during the attacks.
I thought the whole rebuttal was strange because, like, his opening was that Israel's bad, right? And then in his rebuttal, to like reinforce his points, he reads Hamas documents that say Israel's bad. Okay, is this supposed to be evidence or what? I really didn't understand the point. I mean, I'm just being honest here. I didn't understand the point of what he was doing, but if he made it clear what he's trying to do, I mean, maybe he's trying to say that you see their documents just say that they're attacking bad people, not just indiscriminately. I don't know.
It says it right there.
Yeah. So if it's trying to show who Hamas is, then maybe it makes sense. But I interpret it as him trying to show that Israel is bad because Hamas says they're bad, which was just very strange to me.
Yeah, it says it right here. It says it right here. They're bad. We don't even understand. Don't even understand what the problem is.
Okay.
All right.
Evidence. So you're going to say that Hamas is worse than Israel? Impossible, because Israel is the one who created this conflict. Yes, the PLO is secular and internationally recognized. Palestinians tried that path for decades, bro. They negotiated, signed accords, did ceasefires. They recognized Israel's existence. And then what? And then what? What did they receive in return? More settlements, more walls, more checkpoints, more land taken, zero statehood. So when peaceful efforts fail, other movements rise. You can't reject diplomacy and then complain when people turn to armed resistance. Hamas's ideology is misrepresented on purpose. People wave around English PDFs like Apis. He says,
You hear this? You can't reject diplomacy. Israel offered them a two-state solution about 100 billion times, and they rejected it every time. No, you have to give us everything. And then just, when you have a war, then it's, all we want is a two-state solution. No, that is not what from the river to the sea means. From the river, what river? Jordan to the sea. What's that? Mediterranean. What is that in between there? All of Israel. We know what you guys want. It's just, it's this response is made for low IQ morons who just think, they just want to be left alone in their little spot and Israel won't leave them alone. No, they want all of it and they demand all of it and they will not accept anything else.
Yeah, that's correct. My understanding of this is that there was a very good peace deal brokered by the United States and other parties. Israel signed on it. Yasser Arafat was going to sign on it for the PLO. And then at the last minute, he said, no, I don't want that to be my legacy. I don't want to be the person who said, I acknowledge that Israel is allowed to exist. And so the deal fell apart. But it wasn't because of Israel, right? The only people that rejected it was the Palestinian side. Israel has always advocated for a two-state solution. The problem is that they're not going to give up Jerusalem, right? They're not going to give up any control of Jerusalem whatsoever in any theoretical deal. And that's a deal breaker for, Muslims who think that Israel is a holy city in Islam. So it's impossible for there to be a sustained two-state solution, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would love to see some sort of two-state solution in the future, but you need a significantly transformed population that isn't obsessed with annihilating Jews. That's the sort of population you'd need. You don't have that yet, and therefore it's not going to work. It's not going to work until the population changes. So guess what? Israel would love a two-state solution like that too. That's why they've offered it repeatedly, rejected every time.
Hamas existed in this English document. Hamas doesn't speak English. Hamas speaks Arabic. And Hamas in Arabic means Islamic Resistance Movement. In Hebrew, it's completely different. The word in Hebrew was used recently. during the October 7th conflict. Like, the Hebrew word looks similar, but it means something else entirely. Arabic Hamas is not the same as Hebrew Hamas. If Palestinians aren't indigenous, who exactly survived there for thousands of years? You know, the funniest myth in this whole debate is that the idea that the people of ancient Palestine magically disappeared and these modern Palestinians, these Arabs from Jordan and whatever, just teleported in.
Okay, he's an idiot. Like, really, really bad idiot.
No one was called Hamas until after October 7th, 2 years ago.
This word was used recently. October 7th. Okay, we've got the Hamas charter from the 1980s, buddy. This word was used recently. Oh my goodness. All right, now we have AP and Issa's rebuttal, and then we got the horrible abuse of an innocent stuffed monkey. Yeah. AP's rebuttal. AP and Issa's rebuttal.
Jvnior acknowledges that he was actually lying about the name Hamas, but then he just kind of tries to explain it without actually admitting that he lied, that he made that up, which is very, very interesting. You know, we can literally find the document in Arabic and can read it also, and we can see that they called it Hamas there as well. He repeatedly represents or misrepresents the history of the region. He further makes the claim that the Jews came from America and this and this and that. I wonder if he knows that the majority of Jews in Israel today are not Ashkenazi Jews, meaning they are not of Western Northern European origin. The majority of Jews in Israel today are of Mizrahi and Sephardic origin, meaning they have nothing to do with those typical, stereotypical white, Polish, American, German, whatever Jews that you want to make this about. So
yeah, you have Jews. I forget what some of the groups have different names and so on, but you have Jews who are just there forever. Then you have Jews who did come from Europe or America and so on, but then you had Jews who came there because they were being expelled from Muslim nations and so on. So yeah, you had lots of Jews coming from like Iran and places like that. So you have Jews coming from completely different areas. The Jvnior lumps them all together. They all came from Western nations.
Is a lie and complete nonsense. And if he knew anything about this, he would already know this. Now, he said that because Hamas mentions at some point that their struggle is not with Jews, he says this therefore means that they are not against Jews. He also says that they're just called terrorists, but they're actually not called terrorists. All right, let's listen to Hamas themselves. Let me know if you hear this. Okay, I'm sure you can understand the Arabic here. Let's see.
أبناء شعبنا جاهزين للتفجير. عملنا مصنع جديد إن شاء الله تعالى في حالة دخول السلك جاهزين أخواتنا كله أفن جاهزات كلهن يحملنا أحزمة متفجرة في سبيل الله بنفتح ثغرتين في كل مخيم واصلين نضربك لما نصلكم ستقتلون والله ستقتلون بإذن الله سبحانه عملنا شغلنا مصانع جديدة للأحزمة شغالة كل واحد بده حنصف على الدور حزام يلا.
Guys, talking about, for anyone who's just kind of listening to this is they're talking about, the Hamas spokesman is talking about distributing suicide vests to anyone who wants one, and they're going to use them and they're going to wipe these guys out.
وانت اهل الضفه الغربيه الى متى تسكتون؟ بدنا سكاكين تطلع 5 شيكل ركبه اليهودي حقها قديش عندنا 5.
How much does the throat of a Jew need to cost us? He incites the Palestinians in the West Bank to also join in the terrorism and to buy themselves a knife and cut the throat of a Jew. This is the Hamas that Jvnior here tries to defend as not terrorists. Let's see what Hamas themselves say about that kind of stuff.
You want to pause for a second?
What's up?
AP didn't emphasize it, but right before he says, how much should a Jewish life cost? He says it's 5 shekels. So it costs 5 shekels to buy a knife. That's all a Jewish life is worth.
Yeah. Yeah, 5 shekels, guys. That's like, what, $1.70? Something like that?
Something like that.
في هذا اليوم وفي هذه التجليات بفضل الله سبحانه وتعالى لنتطلع إلى أمرين مهمين نحن قاب قوسين أو أدنى منهما. أولا هو تنظيف فلسطين من
First is the cleansing of Palestine of the filth of the Jews. Let's see if he says Zionists. Oh, nope, he said Yehud. Sorry, Jews.
وهو قاب قوسين أو أدنى 4 سنوات إخواننا 2022 بنكون خلصنا منهم.
We will be rid of them by 2022. Good luck with that.
أما الأمر الثاني وهو إقامة الخلافة بعد أن تتعافى الأمة من سرطانها وهو اليهود بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى. أنه لا يعني.
There you go. This is the Hamas-appointed spokesperson speaking directly to the Arabs in Gaza, telling them, this was in 2018, in 4 years we will be ready, we will cleanse the land of the filth of the Jews, and once we are rid of the Jewish cancer, we will achieve our second goal, which is to re-establish the caliphate. This is one of the main reasons why I want to tell those people who don't care about the conflict, or those people who say, oh yeah, they're probably just resisting and all that. It's not just about Israel and Palestine, okay? This is about everything and everybody. These terrorists are Islamic terrorists. They're not very different from ISIS. Their ultimate goal is, according to their own speakers, according to their own appointed people, to establish the caliphate and restart the Islamic conquests, including slavery, the subjugation of all Jews.
Dang, we got Issa there nodding in agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And Christians, by the way, not just Jews, and all that. So everybody should help with all full force to oppose this. And I'm not going to say that it was a completely fake election. I am going to actually credit them for the election because, unfortunately, the Gazans are not innocent people. Most of them vote for terrorism. Most of them are for the Islamic terrorism. The West Bank is even worse. They are much more for Hamas and for Islamic terrorism. There is a sick Palestinianist problem here. And this problem was not started by Israel. The Israeli Zionist Jews came into the region to live together, according to all accounts, according to their own greatest thinkers, according to Theodor Herzl, who was the founder of the modern Zionist movement. His aim was to coexist and to live beautifully with the local Arabs and the Muslims. The Arabs did not want it. They had Hitler-like leaders who wanted the Jews dead. In 1948, the Jews said we can live together in this land. The so-called Palestinians, the Arabs, did not accept it. Since then, they have been fighting and killing and fighting and killing and fighting and killing. And Israel has been left with nothing except to try and build a fence and build walls to defend themselves against this wave of terror. Since 2005, Israel has been out of Gaza and gave them a chance to self-govern. What did they do with it? They elected Hamas, and Hamas immediately made the promise to take everything back, every compromise, to never recognize Israel, and to continue until the Jews are eradicated and all the land belongs to them. Of course, Israel will not make peace with them.
Oh,
And that's actually
he
the
just said, of
irony.
course, Israel will not make peace. You see, he just admitted it. This is the proof.
The irony of the whole thing is after the peace talks broke down, Israel has basically unilaterally pursued the two-state solution. That's why the walls and such exist, right? The fences, I should say, exist and such because Israel has started to treat it like an independent country. And that's what, and then you got the Muslims are like, oh, they're putting us in prison by giving us our own territory and allowing us to self-govern. And then we elect people who want to get us killed by attacking them. So very good point by AP there at the end, I think.
Yeah, have you noticed, Thaddeus? It manifests completely differently, but there is always this like complete lack of a concept of consequences for your own actions. It never exists, right? I mean, I'm talking about that because we have like Malik, and everything he's doing is causing all this stuff, and he blames you for all the stuff that he's causing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Hamas here, and they do all this stuff. And if they didn't do that stuff, you wouldn't have the problem. They do this stuff, and then it leads to this, and then they get mad about the consequences. They want a world where they can do whatever they want, and there are zero consequences for their horrible choices. And everyone's trying to send them the same message. You don't get that. You don't get that world. That world doesn't exist. You don't live in a world where you can do whatever you want to everyone else, and they just sit there and take it and don't make you stop. And that's the real battle between Islam and the rest of the world. That is the fundamental battle. We get to do whatever we want. That's their view. We get to do whatever we want, and your job is to just take it because we're superior. And us saying, no, you don't get that world. And we're never going to accept that world. And then throwing tantrums because they can't get their way. Wild stuff. All right, so we have the infamous monkey clip remaining, and then we'll check out your brother in Christ. Awesome contribution. His awesome contribution to the Malik challenge. Definitely one of the top 3 or 4 that I've seen so far. Let's see. There were a couple super chats here. Why was Muhammad a big hashtag? Because they pounded him. That is a pretty corny joke. Allah might actually be Baal. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Jack, thanks for the channel memberships you gifted everyone. Ottoman census in 1890 showed there was barely 150,000 people in this area, which was today Jordan In Israel, 100,000 were Muslims. That's barely inhabited. Yeah, if you look at pictures from back then, it just looks, a lot of it looks like a barren wasteland and so on, which basically means it wasn't terribly important. And it just wasn't terribly important until more Jews started going there. Then it became really, really, really important. And why? Because there's an Islamic doctrine, guys. It's based on the Quran. When Allah commanded, after the Muslims left Mecca and went to Medina, then Allah eventually commanded, drive them out from whence they drove you out. So, and that became a doctrine that if you control an area at some point, but you lose control, it is your obligation to go back and fight for it until you take it back for Islam. And so once you had Jews start going there, then all of a sudden, oh, can't let this happen, can't let this happen. And then it did happen. It did happen. And then you have to constantly just throw tantrums and do whatever you have to in order to get it back. And that's how things work. That 1, there are spectacle lenses to block screen and other lights. 2, also add photochromatic to that to have eye health and prevent headache. Please consider. Oh, I always get all that stuff on my glasses. I do need a new prescription because my eyes have changed over the past couple years. Now I can't read. I can't read with these. I mean, I have to put the book out here, so I have to get the transitional ones where that shows you how old I'm getting. But yeah, where I need reading glasses on the bottom and then regular glasses on the top. Getting old, ladies and gentlemen, getting old. I think the Islamic inability to understand consequences is because they all flunked the marshmallow test due to 40 generations of first cousin marriage. Yeah. When you combine 40 generations of first cousin marriage with an ideology that tells them they're somehow superior. What? Really? Even though I have a 65 IQ, I'm superior? Yes, you're superior. Your religion tells you, oh, let me go out and take everyone else's stuff and go bang a bunch of little girls in other countries. Ah, wow. All right, guys. Last section here. Now we have the famous monkey response from Jvnior. Everyone ready? If you're not familiar with this, guys, be prepared to have your mind blown.
Viewer discretion is advised.
If you weren't convinced by Jvnior's opening statement and rebuttal, you will be convinced by his monkey. Here we go.
I'm gonna
Time
cover
will
the
kick it back over.
eyes.
What's that? Oh yeah, cover up that monkey's
I
eyes.
gotta cover the monkey's eyes.
Yeah, he didn't want to see what's happening to this his brother monkey.
Son of a...
Did you catch that? Did you catch that, guys? Guys, look at James. When Jvnior comes up with the monkey, James goes, "Son of a."
and just to be clear, they're in crossfire now, but it's being thrown back to Jvnior and Julian for their response. And this is the start of his response, right? This is the start of the response to what I just said.
Okay, guys, watch James at the bottom. Watch James at the bottom. I'll play this a couple of times because that was just funny.
Time will kick it back over. Son of a...
He saw the monkey show up and he goes, "Son of a." That is funny. Watch it one more time, guys, and then we'll let it play. Here we go. Check out James. That's funny. What did I do? What did I do with getting this guy on here?
Son of a...
This is you
I think he forgot his mic was on.
going to Israel, and this is Netanyahu giving you a $7,000 check. He opened the banana for you.
Okay, Jvnior, let's keep this debate formal.
Put it in your mouth. You understand? Okay. This is your Israel trip summary right here. You put it in your mouth and make sure you're eating.
You see this, right? This is how it always goes. The pro-Palestine side and the Palestine side, when faced with any kind of correction or information, they choose to instead not listen and to become children.
So if Israel's goal was to destroy Al-Aqsa, the Masjid Al-Aqsa, then why would it, after 1967, work with Jordan and allow Jordan to have a waqf over the land? Why would it allow for the situation, being that this is like the holiest site for Jewish people, to kind of give up that space of being able to even visit the site, where only Muslims can enter the site at most times? That seems...
Yeah, he's making an important point there, guys, and it's related to the point about this is a genocide. It's like, okay, if Israel wanted to wipe out the population, they could do that tonight. Tonight, they could do that. So why are you saying they want to do something that they could do but never ever do? The parallel there is they're trying to take Al-Aqsa. Israel could take Al-Aqsa in the next 5 minutes if they want. They can take they can just go up there and take the whole thing in 5 minutes. That's how long it would take them. And after these various wars, they could have done it after any one of these wars and said, you know what, screw you guys, we're taking this over. That's your penalty for declaring war on us. They could do that every single time. They haven't. Why? And they let Jordan control it. Why would they do that if they want it? They could just, anytime, any moment they wanted it, they could take it. But no, they're trying, but that's just we're too powerful, but they're really trying. Oh, gosh, stop embarrassing yourselves. I'd take it, by the way. If I ran things, I'd freaking take it. I'd take it in a heartbeat as a lesson after one of these wars. I would do it in a heartbeat. So the point is, they're being way, way, way nicer than I would be. I bet you AP would take it. I bet you he'd take that if he was in charge. So but I mean, think about that. It's always they want to do this. Well, if they want to do that, they can do that right now. Oh, but no, they're trying, but they can't. Oh, you're stupid, guys. You're really dumb.
A really huge thing to do if Jews really wanted to destroy Al-Aqsa. Why even have this agreement with Jordan? I think this is an important question to consider.
Good point.
Look, when you have
AP said, good point.
nukes, it's easy to make everyone agree with you, right? Because you just threaten to nuke them.
Yeah, Junior, think about the reasoning there. You've got nukes. So if you just go up and just bring some bulldozers up and just wipe out the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque and start building the temple, what can anyone do to stop you? What can they do? What can they do? Nothing. And they don't do it. Even when I would do it.
Yep. So that's the actual argument going on here, right? The actual argument is the pro-Hamas people are like, Israel's so bad. They want to do all these things. And then Issa and AP are like, so why don't they? And it's like, because they have all the nukes. They can do whatever they want. What?
that ranks, guys. They really want to do this. Okay, why don't they do that? Because they're so powerful, they can do whatever they want. Okay, that kind of makes our point that if they're powerful enough to do it and then no one can stop them and they really want to do it, why aren't they doing it? Because they have nukes. They're so powerful. This ranks right up there with Junior thinking that Aisha must have been 16 because she was still playing with dolls and was therefore prepubescent. It's like he somehow, there's some wires crossed in whatever brain he actually has inside of that head. But yeah, guys, don't marry your first cousins. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not good. And if you don't believe me, just listen to Junior.
That's what Israel's doing behind closed doors.
How does it make sense in response to the question that he said?
You don't know that Israel has a Samson option with nukes pointed at these countries.
Were you even
pointed
just
at
listening? What are you
America.
responding to me?
It's like they can do whatever they want. Everyone's terrified of them. That's why they don't do it. That's why they never do it. They're so powerful that no one can stop them from doing anything. They can do what they want. How are you not getting this, AP? How are you not getting this? This guy's a moron, man.
Yep.
Listen, Israel has nukes pointed at America. All right? Israel has
Nukes pointed at America. That's why America does everything Israel says, because they don't want to face Israel's nukes. Oh my goodness, this is beyond stupid.
So they can do whatever they want without any fear.
Israel literally tricked all the Arabs, okay, into diplomacy and all this while they secretly built 80 nukes. 80 nukes.
So
And
Israel
the
can
day
do whatever they want. However, they decided to give control over the Temple Mount to Jordan. Okay.
The
all right.
day, what control?
Makes complete sense, man.
What control? Is Jordanian military there? Go ahead, leave so I can actually have a conversation with a actual human being, not a monkey who went to Israel and got fed bananas by Netanyahu. If you're gonna eat bananas from Netanyahu, at least enjoy it. At least convert to Judaism. At least suck his dick.
Look at Issa.
Be
Poor
like
Issa.
Cam Higby,
Poor Issa.
Issa, any
who sucked him
thoughts?
off in his back office.
What are your
So
thoughts?
Poor James. James is like,
So-
Issa, any thoughts? So just keep that in mind. Keep in mind what he just said when he brings the monkey back here in a second.
All right. Here we go.
you're right. There isn't Jordanian military, but there is a Jordanian officer that's there to check if people are Muslim or not. And the Israeli officials do check and see if Muslims are coming to Al-Aqsa. So you don't think that there's like a kind of a preservation at this space for Muslims to enter the site?
It's like damage control, right? As they build the nukes, as they deal with all this PR disaster nightmare.
So I can actually give you a real life example of it. So Junior just asked me what happened when I went to Israel. So when I went to Israel, I went on the Temple Mount to take a little
We
tour.
know what happened. We just
Tommy
saw
Robinson,
a demonstration. I just
with
showed
Tommy
you a
Robinson and other people. So I went to the Temple Mount.
Let me bring the monkey back.
We went to the Temple Mount. We went onto the holy sacred side where Jews are, which Jews revere in very holy ways, where they don't actually take any steps because it is too holy for anyone to make steps on there, right? I went on there. I put up my camera. As soon as I put up my camera, people from the Jordanian Waqf, whom Israel
Look
authorized.
at this idiot Julian. Look, monkey. Him got monkey. Him funny but funny monkey. Monkey funny. Banana with monkey funny. Monkey funny, honey. Funny, honey.
To actually have control over the place, came over to me and said, "Hey, no filming, no filming. Are you Muslim? Are you Muslim? No filming." I was like, what do you mean no filming? There's no such rule, man. I can just film here. Like, no Muslim, only Muslim, only Muslims, only Muslims. Subscribe to only Muslims. So they said only Muslims can film. So we had a big argument, and eventually some security guy from the Jordanian Waqf, who is appointed by Israel as authority over who can and cannot.
Everyone look at what Junior's doing to this poor monkey that he conveniently had just ready to go on a moment's notice, and apparently he likes trying to stick bananas in this monkey's mouth. That's what he does. And he had this thing ready. He had this ready to do this to the monkey. And Julian, him have monkey that him stick things in its mouth, monkey mouth. This is Dawa in 2020. This is how Dawa is starting in 2026, guys. This is the Dawa of 2026.
Security guy from the Jordanian Waqf, who is appointed by Israel as authority over who can and cannot approach the Golden Dome and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, forced me to go away and to dismantle my camera and to walk away. So Junior here says that Israel can do whatever they want. They threaten the world. However, what Israel actually does is, despite their own Jewish population so badly wanting to be on the Temple Mount, they give control over the Temple Mount to Jordan, which says only Muslim, only Muslims, only Muslim. If you're not Muslim, go away. If you're not Muslim, go away. How in the world does it even make sense, man? With what logic does that even make sense?
It's funny how AP just keeps responding, even though Junior's over there showing what he does to his monkey.
I swear, I don't want to insult you, but this is just so ridiculously stupid, you know? This is not a serious conversation in any way.
This is if you guys, well, why don't we jump into the Q&A?
Look at James. Now James is laughing at how idiotic this is. Hang on. I wasn't following James's expression through. Let me hear.
I don't want to insult you, but this is just so ridiculously stupid, you know? This is not a serious conversation.
Oh, James finally looked at the screen.
If you guys, well, why don't we jump into the Q&A? This has been an interesting.
He wasn't looking. He was looking somewhere else, and then you see him look at the screen, and then he starts grinning.
This is should we go to Q&A?
All right, I got about a minute left of Junior's antics with the monkey here, and Julian, funny monkey, funny monkeys are funny,
to say the least.
So before we get to the super chats, someone pointed out in the chat that about 15 minutes later, and I didn't clip this part, that's why I'm saying it, Junior goes and eats the banana himself. Remember what he said the banana represents? A body part of Netanyahu, and then he goes and eats it himself. I guess he forgot what his analogy was.
No, or that's a secret. That's a dog whistle to all the Mossad fans out there. Hey, guys, don't worry. I'm the real one who's putting the banana in my mouth, if you know what I mean, right? Huh? Me and Malik. Mossad Malik and Mossad Junior. Mm-hmm. All right, so about a minute here of super chats here.
Al-Zut flavored kisses says, Junior, we are here waiting in the.
Look at it. Even Issa too. Issa's grinning at that. Al-Zut. Hey, why isn't Junior grinning at Al-Zut flavored kisses, man? That's just funny. That's funny. They combined it because we were talking about the taco flavored kisses when Tactical genius Malik figured out that I'm actually Mexican. My real name is David Seguera, the Seguera cartel. He's figured that out. He's figured out that my wife is actually my ex-wife somehow. He's figured out all kinds of stuff. And IP is a real estate tycoon. He found all this stuff about us. And so we had the taco flavored kisses and we had the Al Zut, and someone apparently named their channel. They combined them and said Al Zut flavored kisses, which AP and Issa thought was funny. Junior, not so much apparently. Let's see.
Al Zut flavored kisses says, Junior, we are here waiting in the desert. When you need the strength of 30 men, you can bring your monkey toy for comfort.
You know, the
Poor James, he's just reading it deadpan.
He's totally deadpan. Oh man. I don't know why James does super chats at this point, because that's going to be every single time. Oh man, everyone get that? We're waiting, and then Issa lost it. Oh yeah, we got to see that one again, guys. We got to see that one again. Oh man, Al Zut flavored kisses.
Al Zut flavored kisses says, Junior, we are here waiting in the desert. When you need the strength of 30 men, you can bring your monkey toy for comfort.
You know, the Al Zut was actually about jinn, not human beings, so they didn't have bodies. Okay, so when it says they rode,
Hey, what an idiot. Dude, he doesn't even know basic Islam right there. And look at Julian. What the heck is that, Julian? Yeah, he says jinn don't have bodies. Jinn have bodies, guys. According to Islam, jinn have bodies. Jinn definitely have bodies. Jinn eat and so on. They can just be invisible. They can be invisible. So this response, it's about jinn. It's about jinn. It's confusing because it says, I saw some things like that look like the Al Zut. So the Al Zut were people from the area of what is now India and Pakistan and so on. They're called the Jat people now, but they were dark skinned. They were dark skinned and renowned for their sexual virility and so on. But it says they rode Muhammad all night long, left him in pain and things like that. Okay, if you say that's jinn, that doesn't make it better than then jinn were banging him all night long. And he was getting the strength of a bunch of jinn. You'd have to go with men because he didn't brag about having the strength of 30 jinn. He bragged about having the strength of 30 men, right? So you'd go with them. You'd lean toward the men explanation. But Junior's so dumb. He thinks, no, jinn don't have bodies. They got no bodies. What a dope. Oh, hey, hang on. Hey, check this out here. Let me get out of this real quick. And we have...
Hey, Issa.
Hi, I saw you were reviewing it, so I said I have to drop in.
Yeah, well, we're already at the end here, but we definitely want to watch this awesome super chat one more time. Let's see.
or did anything. It's talking about
If you guys, well, why don't we jump into the Q&A? This has been
Let's do
an
it. Let's do it.
interesting conversation, to say the least.
All right. So, Issa, this is the famous Zut
Al
flavored kisses.
Zut flavored kisses says, Junior, we are here waiting in the desert. When you need the strength of 30 men, you can bring your monkey toy for comfort.
You know, the Al Zut was actually about jinn, not human beings, so they didn't have bodies. Okay, so when it says they rode him or did anything, it's talking about spirits, not human beings. Nice joke.
Jinn have
I'll
bodies,
bring a
dude.
monkey
You're
toy
wrong.
to your house.
Your response is wrong.
Wait, what?
Maybe I could feed you some bananas as well.
No.
Him or did anything. It's talking about spirits, not human beings. Nice joke.
This
I'll
one
bring a monkey toy to your house.
Whoa! He just said he'd bring your.
Yeah.
Bring his,
Yeah.
why the heck is he going to bring his monkey toy where he shoves things in its mouth? He shoves bananas in its mouth and then eats the bananas. Why is he going to bring that to someone's house, man? What are you going to do? What is up with this dude?
Finish it. He tells you what he's going to do.
What?
Maybe I could feed you some bananas as well.
No.
What the heck? What do bananas represent with this guy? And he's grinning.
Poor James like, oh no, don't go there. Don't do that, buddy.
And this is
He's like, "I'm
Islam's
gonna feed
greatest
you
debater,
bananas."
guys. This is Islam's greatest debater of 2026.
I'll record it and post it online.
Dr. Shizut
recorded and
says
posted
Junior
online.
needs his monkey to cope. Why are you zudding that monkey, Junior? That's sick.
The monkey was an improvision. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I didn't plan to do that.
Did you guys hear that? He didn't. So we were very clear that Thaddeus went out and bought that monkey today just for this live stream. Junior's saying that was just improv, man. I wasn't planning this. I just had my monkey around and all the bananas that I shove in its mouth. This is who you're debating, Issa?
I think this was a legendary debate. What did you think about Julian and his Roman salute? I think that was just. I think that was the most impressive.
No, we didn't see that. We only watched some clips. We didn't watch the
you
entire
didn't see
thing.
that.
Yeah, we watched we watched kind of condensed versions of the opening statements and then condensed versions of the rebuttals and then the infamous monkey scene. And this, like, why would you admit that, right? Dude, it still would have been in people's minds, Junior. Maybe he just got that monkey as a joke. You just said it's improv, which means you already had the monkey, man. You already had the monkey. You had it sitting around, dude. All right, I'm backing this up because this is just too awesome here. I'm backing this up. So here you go, Issa.
Al-Zut flavored kisses says, Junior, we are here waiting in the desert. When you need the strength of 30 men, you can bring your monkey toy for comfort.
You know, the Al Zut was actually about jinn, not human beings, so they didn't have bodies. Okay, so when it says they rode him or did anything, it's talking about spirits, not human beings. Nice joke. I'll bring a monkey toy to your house.
Wait, what?
Maybe I could feed you some bananas as well.
No, why?
I'll record it and post it online.
Dr. Shizut says Junior needs his monkey to cope. Why are you zudding that monkey, Junior? That's sick.
The monkey was an improvision. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I didn't plan to do that. But when I heard Apis went to Israel, I was like, let me visualize what his trip looked like, because clearly he was given some money by Netanyahu. So
You have
the
some
banana
very interesting fantasies.
the banana
The
represents
monkey
the money.
looked like a apostate prophet in Issa Kabir.
You have some very, very interesting fantasies, man.
Yeah, Julian, great insult there. You look like a pussy
Sick burn.
prophet. What the heck?
Sick burn, buddy. Sick burn. Well, so that's who Issa rolls with.
Did you see the ending parts where there are ending arguments?
No, we just did the serious portion of the debate.
Got it.
I know.
The Roman salute was a really intense one, and Junior was like, "Dude, I'm gonna leave if you do that." I was like, "Whoa, yeah." Julian's like, "Yeah, I'll just do it. I'll do the Sieg Heil," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it."
What?
Yeah, he literally said that. He was like, "Yeah, we should do it," and I was really shocked by certain things that Julian said. He was like, "Yeah," because AP and I were asking about Tufan al-Aqsa. We were asking about the Al-Aqsa flood. Was this a good thing? Is this right where they just went in and just killed everybody? And he was like, "Yeah, in defense, you're allowed to do whatever you want." And I was like, whoa, like I couldn't believe that someone would actually say that you can make that argument that if someone is, doing something to you, you're just get carte blanche to do whatever you want. I was like, wow. Certain people believe that, and it's kind of sick,
Weird stuff. Well, I guess that's what we have as Islam's top debaters this year. Going to be a fun 2026. Interesting stuff. Did have this. Hey, Apologetics Roadshow. Want to start debating against non-Christians to defend Christianity as a Polish Orthodox. How can I start with it? How can I learn to defend Christianity? Well, here in America, the Polish aren't known for their intellectual prowess. No, I'm just kidding. Me and AP were talking about this once because he was talking about. We're actually finding it interesting that Poland was one of the places like standing its ground against a bunch of insane ideas and so on. And I remarked to AP and I said, that's weird because like when back in the 80s, everyone told Polish jokes about how dumb they were. And he said in Germany, so he grew up in Germany, he said they also tell Polish jokes, but it's all about how they're thieves. And like all the jokes are about how they stole something or stole your car or something like that. So that was interesting. But no, as far as apologetics goes, I would grab Greg Kokel's book Tactics and Greg Kokel's book Street Smarts. Those I consider like foundational. In other words, it doesn't matter who you're talking to. It doesn't matter if you're talking to Muslims, atheists, whoever. Very helpful just for having conversations with people. So I'd grab those. After that, kind of depends on who you're going to be talking to, because I don't know kind of the makeup over there of what you're dealing with in Poland. Like if I guess you wouldn't be dealing too much with Muslims unless it's online and so on. But yeah, it kind of depends on whether you're primarily addressing atheists or cults or Muslims or something else. So yeah, if you're defending Christianity, you wanted to be able to defend the existence of God and Jesus' death, resurrection, and divine nature. After that, yeah, it depends on it would depend on what you're interested in or who you're planning on talking to. Let's see. Go through these super chats here. Where did I let off? Hey, Issa, don't be easily offended with some of these comments, man. Nope, read that one. Read that one. Read that one. Hey, let's see. Okay. Hey, Holmes. Just wait till Malik find out you did all those nature documentaries and magic tricks. I think the gig will be up then. You'll be in trouble. 14 days till Zutness.
Oh, no.
Nice of Jvnior to pay respect to his ancestors. The monkey. A couple of years ago, you said you would release an episode of the Boom Boom Room because he kept backing out of debates. Actually, I mean, I may have said that, but what I ended up doing was making him a Karanagami Star of David Christmas tree topper. And I told him I was serious. Hey, I made him one and I said, tell me where to send it and I'll give it to you. And he never responded, sadly. And so Issa here got it. So Issa has the Karanagami Star of David Christmas tree topper. So that's Jake's loss. That's Jake's loss. Cute Monkey Thad probably should keep it away from this fake David Wood if you're ever on my side of the board. Oh, yeah, that's, how do I pronounce that? Misagora. If you're ever on this side of the border, just know Segura Cartel has your back.
Appreciate it.
But David, my cousin has wide hips and pretty ankles. I don't actually know what she looks like, though. But this is when I was telling people to avoid first cousin marriage. I don't actually know what she looks like. But then again, the men of Al Zut couldn't clearly see in the dark either. That's a good point. These are fair points. I retract my advice. Israel has 80 nukes, U.S. over 3,000 nukes. U.S. demonstrated we can yoink any world leader we want to. So how on earth would the U.S. be afraid of Israel? Yeah, Issa, your debate opponent Jvnior was saying, Israel has its nukes pointed at the U.S. That's why they have to do what he says.
Which is why they give control of the Temple Mount to Muslims, apparently.
Smart.
So that was the question that we had asked. Like, so I brought up the question. I said, well, you're saying, that Israel is this really evil place. It's doing a lot of terrible things to Muslims. And I'm like, I was actually just there. And he critiqued that. I was literally just in Jerusalem. And I'm like, I see tons of Muslims walking around wearing hijab. Quran is being recited and playing. And the call to prayer, the adhan, is playing everywhere. So I'm like, if this is such a terrible place for Muslims and Palestinians, and a lot of people in Jerusalem identify as Palestinian citizens of Israel or Palestinian residents of Israel. So I'm like, if Israel really views Muslims in this horrible way, why are they being treated so well? And there's really no answer to that. And my position in this debate, against Hamas, is that I'm like, imagine if Hamas had complete control. Imagine what would happen to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Well, imagine what would happen to the Garden Tomb. All the Christian sites. Imagine what would happen to Jewish sites, and even some Muslim sites, because they would say it's bid'ah, right? Imagine what would happen if Hamas had full control of these places. It would be horrendous. Many people would die. Many of these sites would be destroyed. And a lot of these people, like I see in America, and they're like, oh, Hamas is good because they're resistance. I'm like, imagine what would happen if these people have power. We know about Al-Shabaab. I was going to bring this up in the debate. Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, Daesh, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Palestinian Islamic Jihad. All of these groups have the same thing in common. They want to take over the world. If they have power, they would take over the world. They don't have power, thank God, but if they did, that's what would happen. So that's really the honest truth about it, I think.
Yeah, and it's one thing when people who are just minding their own business, trying to live normal lives, when they get attacked by some group or something like that. But when it's the people who want to take over the world and destroy everyone else and subjugate everyone else that constantly whine, oh, we're the poorest. All right, not buying what you're selling, guys. Maybe Mossad should send Jvnior a paycheck. Well, he's worth every penny. Just let me say that. I thought you had to OnlyFans to watch someone spank their monkey on camera.
Oh, man.
Hey, David, I'm glad I found your channel. It's a perfect mix between my dark humor and my religion. I'm Catholic. Thank God for your conversion. P.S. Monkey see, monkey do. Jvnior doesn't beat up his wife because on his wedding day, his uncle paid him a large sum never to lay hands on his daughter. Treat family well. That is true. Al-Zut has penetrated the Ummah. The deadpan is the best. Yeah, it is. First goats, now monkeys. No animal is safe. Jvnior equals even better use of Mossad money than beepers.
Mm-hmm.
Issa, before you leave, what program were you using for those slides? It was pretty slick.
Yeah, I use Prezi. It's something I've learned in college, so it's a very useful tool in kind of conveying. I thought it would be nicer than PowerPoint.
Yeah, but the name doesn't sound very manly. If I thought PowerPoint or Prezi,
yeah,
Prezi.
No. But it's cool. Like you can zoom in, zoom out.
No, it's super cool. I was commenting on it. I was like, how am I not using this? My PowerPoints are all like the most boring, lame things ever.
I thought, and I think it was cool to kind of show effective information. If you ever go to the our final arguments, my argument was, and Jvnior got mad at me, but I brought up the argument. I said, let's compare Hamas to Israel's government. Israel's government provides for mental health care. Israel does good for, what is it called? Recycling. Israel takes care of its minorities.
Oh, wait, when you say recycling, it's like water.
Recycling water, exactly.
Yeah, they're the best on the planet.
Exactly.
By far, it's not even a close second.
And that's so recycling water, technology. Most of our technology comes from Israel. I'm like, there's so many amazing things that we get from Israel, right? I said, what has Hamas given us? War, killing, murder. That's it. They haven't actually done anything. What have they done for the Palestinian people? Nothing. What have they done for the world? Nothing. And I put it side by side. I said, look at the mental health. Israel takes care of mental health. Hamas does nothing. There's many people are devastated, mentally speaking. Every single place Israel defeats Hamas. Elections, taking care of minorities, recycling water, even recycling in general, it's still better. Hamas does nothing. And I said the point is, you want to say Hamas is a resistance group. Hamas claims that it's a governmental organization. It says it's here to serve. Well, what has it done? Nothing. So I'm like, why are some people on college campuses supporting it? I don't know. That's like, that kind of blows my mind that anyone would support Hamas, but I think there's quite a few people who do.
That is correct. Did have one.
And Junior said to me, he's like, well, talking about mental health, IDF, commit suicide at a high rate. And I'm like, yeah, because October 7th happened. And it's not just that. There's all of these, you have the intifadas, you have all of these kind of violent incursions. Israeli people have been through a whole lot. And you're like, well, there's this conflation of causation versus correlation. And you're like, well, just because you're saying because they're committing suicide, the cause is because of this Gaza war. And that's not proven. That doesn't prove that, there's a direct correlation of that. But he's assuming that that's the case. And I'm like, no, there's a lot of trauma that's going on. And I thought that was wild that he took that position. But,
Oh, and it's not just that. What we talked about was a lot of the Hamas jihadis, they're raised to be Hamas jihadis. They're raised that way. They're raised in an environment where this kind of thinking and killing and all this stuff is normal. Me and AP, we're just walking. We were going somewhere else, and then we saw this big thing. We asked what was happening, but it was all the people who were enlisting. So there are like hundreds of new people enlisting in the IDF, but these are people who aren't raised like that. They're just, okay, our country is being attacked, so we want to join. Well, guess what? Some of those people who've never been in war and weren't raised like that, you toss them and all of a sudden they see a bunch of blood and carnage all of a sudden, and their friends start dying and they've never, they haven't really experienced that much. That's going to affect them a lot more than it would someone who's raised significantly differently.
That's a really valid argument. And something that I was thinking about this today is that, and y'all know, because a lot of people here, it seems like a lot of the Christian community seems to be more scholars of Islam than a lot of the Muslim community. But there's this argument that I've been hearing of Shaheed, of being a witness, that somehow if you die in a certain way, you become a Shaheed. That's not classical Islamic theology at all. And everybody here knows that, I would think, because the standard classical Islamic perspective is nobody knows what happens after you die. There isn't a promise of salvation. That's the truth of the classical Islamic position. But it's weird that people said, well, they died, and so they're a Shaheed. I'm like, you don't know that. Not even a child. Nobody. That isn't a classical Islamic position from the Hadith or the Quran. So it's like really, really bizarre that we keep hearing this argument that, wow, they're Shaheed because they died in a war. And I'm like, you're just making that up. That's an innovation. So I find that to be
so you're pointing
wild.
out, so Muhammad said that Allah guarantees paradise to the martyr. And so it's part of people's thinking, jihadi thinking, that, well, if I'm going to go die as a martyr and therefore I'm guaranteed paradise. You're saying, well, you're not guaranteed that you are actually a martyr in these situations. So
that's it.
Interesting. So here, Jacob here says, he was the one asking about apologetics. He says, I want, for example, to defend the John passage where it says the Father is greater than I. Yeah, so that's, for something like that, read the passage, because you get an idea of what's going on. So there in matter of fact, go back a chapter 13 where Jesus actually puts on like this little play to show what's been going on, where he takes off his garment, puts a towel around him, and then washes the disciples' feet, and then he puts his own garment back on. It's like a play about leaving his glory and coming down, living as a servant and so on, and then getting his glory back, putting his glory back on and so on. But right there in John 14, you look and you've got, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and so on. Then he talks about, you should be glad that I'm going away, because when I go back, I'll be able to, and I'll answer your prayers. And then he says, don't worry, I'm not leaving you alone. I'm sending the Holy Spirit. And the passage continues, and in John 14:28, he's saying he's still in that thought of, you should be glad I'm going away. I'm returning to the Father, for the Father is greater than I. I've lowered myself. I've lowered myself. And so if you want to understand it, if I say, so and so is greater than. If I say President Trump is greater than I, what do I mean? Do I mean like his status as president of the United States? He has more power, or something like that, or do I mean in nature? Well, in nature, we're both human beings. We're both human beings in nature, so you have to clarify what's going on. But yeah, I would say look at the whole passage. Anyway, for things like that, for apologetic things like that, I would go to the website Answering Islam and go to answeringislam.net. Answeringislam.net. Any of these passages that you want to respond to or address, just go to the search. You'll have articles on those. So, yeah, I'm not even going to recommend a book there. Just go to the website, check it out. You got all that stuff there. Watching Diwa debates and seeing him wreck the da'wah, considering he had to debate such an intelligent Muslim like Nabil pre-Islamic dilemma. No wonder this is a walk in the park. God bless you all. Yeah, especially with the guys who are like still willing to debate. $2 is like 2 fish lord. Increase it. I don't know what that means. Issa, you're up.
He's saying
he's
it's a small donation, but he's saying God will multiply it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The multiplication of the loaves
I thought it said 2 fish lords. 2 fish lords. It's $2 is like 2 fish. Lord, increase
and Lord
it. There
will
you go.
increase it. A comma.
Yeah, okay.
Comma
That.
Yeah.
Thank you, Thaddeus. Sometimes I am about as literate as Junior, apparently. So Momo screwed by Zoot demons. That's worse. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's what I don't get. Just reject the story, man. Just reject the story and say it never happened. It was made up. Do that, but don't start saying no. It was Jin doing that. It's not helping. Don't forget, other than saying October 7th was an inside job by Israel, Julian, he said that? Gosh, Julian, the fruity, zooty, chud bro that he is, kept going off about how base war crimes were. That kid was trying to be inflammatory in his honesty.
But Buddy is right that the Jvnior said that October 7th is an inside job, and a lot of people actually believe that. They believe 9/11 is an inside job too.
There are people who believe everything that happens must be an inside job. It can never be. It can never be someone actually went out and did something.
And from your group. So like if you're a Muslim, instead of taking accountability and saying, yeah, people in my community do bad things, you have to say, well, Jewish people did it. People who are Christian did it. This is ridiculous. These folks did it. Just own it. It's okay. You know, your faith doesn't have to be affected. You know, like Christians could say, look, certain things have happened in the past, like people were enslaved, but Christians can say, well, that's not the way of Christ. That person may have called himself a Christian, but they're not doing the way, you know, they're not following the path of Christ. So you can do that. But to say, well, the people didn't do it at all, it's really kind of grotesque and dishonest, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And what sucks is about the conspiracy theories where anytime something bad happens, it's whoever you hate is actually behind it. What sucks is you can't refute those, right? Because whoever you're blaming, they say, what are you talking about? We didn't do that. Well, that's exactly what we would expect you to say if you did it, because you're going to pretend you didn't do it, right? So you can't refute it. And if you say, well, there's no evidence connecting it to those, well, that's because they're really smart and crafty. Of course, they're going to make sure there's no evidence. And so they make it unfalsifiable. They say it, and then guess what? You can't refute it. If something happens I don't like and I say aliens did it. Okay, how do you refute me? Well, you can't. That's why, you can't take those kind of claims seriously.
And you know what's also interesting about that is that I've been listening to a lot of these videos, and they're like, Christians and Jews, they're imperialists and colonialists. And you keep hearing that rhetoric, and I'm like, okay, you can grant that, but so are Muslims. Muslims did imperialism and colonialism too. Are you just going to pretend that didn't happen? I mentioned this movie, Al-Risala a lot, The Message. And right in the beginning of the movie, it's showing Muslims doing imperialism and colonialism. They go to the Persian Empire, they go to the Christian Empire, and they say, you need to become a Muslim now. You know what I mean? Like that, this movie that's very, very favorable to Islam showcases that, What's really strange about that movie, though, is that you never see, like, after that point, any Jews or Christians. They're only talked about, like, from the side. You only see the Arab people of the Arab indigenous religion. I think it's an interesting thing to note, but That's a fascinating thing. You don't hear about that. You'll hear about the transatlantic slave trade, but you don't hear about the Saharan, East Saharan slave trade, where they enslaved people in East Africa and they castrated people. You don't hear about that. You know where I learned that? I was an Africology major. So my teacher was really anti-Christian, anti-Muslim. So he talked about that. And he was like, he talked about the East African slave trade. And he kept talking about this guy named Tipu Tip, who was like a Muslim slave trader. And it's like, whoa, you don't hear about that. That's a part of the story. So if you want to talk about Christian colonialism, Jewish colonialism, then you need to talk about Muslim colonialism. You can't just erase that and make your own side look really favorable and then make other people look really bad. I think that's just really grotesque, you know?
Yeah, but that doesn't work with the narrative there, Issa. Here, Jacob says, could I use Philippians 2:6-7 for the evidence of Jesus' humbleness? Yeah, that's exactly where you'd go. So, yes. But anyway, yeah, any of these questions on these issues, go over to answeringislam.net. Good stuff over there. Let's see here, a couple more. You leave European Texas alone, David. That's Poland. Poland is European Texas. That's funny. Junior said he took an IQ test at school. Only 2 reasons schools give those is for gifted kids and special needs kids. I think we know why he got one. Yeah. They gave me one of those tests. They didn't tell me what I scored, but they stuck me in the gifted program, which I did not care about and didn't do anything with. The fact that D Wood hasn't figured out yet that it's me, Sagara. I know it's you. I'm the real Sagara. Who are you talking about?
No, he's saying "es me" means it's me.
Oh. It's me, Sagara. Yeah. How are you going to be Sagara, man? You got my picture there. I wonder if I have a twin, like an identical cousin, and we're both Sagaras. Issa Thad, will you be at DebateCon on the 31st?
I have to think about it.
Easy,
I have to
yes.
see if it works. I have to see if it works time-wise.
I don't even know if I'll be there because Jake looks like he's fiending for a reason to back on out. Issa, are you a Linux user?
Oh, I didn't answer. I don't have any plans to be there.
Yeah, I don't really use Linux. No,
I don't even know what that
I
is.
have other software. It's a kind of a, I think it's like a programming software system.
This just got way too nerdy for me, man.
Operating
Oh,
system.
sorry.
I'm not interested even.
You don't even
slightly.
know what it is, guys. He definitely doesn't use Linux.
I remembered the cheating monkey hadith. Yeah, had to stone that evil monkey.
No.
Funniest parts were when it escalated quickly. AP calling Momo a PDF, etc. And Issa was like, "Oh no!" Also, James wanted to rescue the monetization and just gives up. Issa and AP did a good job. Oh yeah, because if they're saying all this stuff, you're already on shaky ground. Even with a debate, you're already on shaky ground based on the stuff the algorithm is going to pick up from a debate like that. And then apparently James is just like, "All right, I give up. There's no rescuing. There's no rescuing this one." That's funny. And sorry, joining late, Issa, why did you show up Jewish dressed to debate? I remember you were a Muslim at some point. What is your belief now? Where you been, ein Bär mit Berliner? Issa's always been a Jewish Muslim, a Jewish Sufi Muslim. And yes, the Sufis they're a bit more open-minded about these things than your Salafis or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's funny.
Did I answer for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Junior may be special, just not in the way he thinks.
It's true.
Hey, from a tiny Irish village, 900 people, lots of Muslims recently placed here by government. There has been a grape case here already. Should I be preparing for anything? Oh, you should definitely be preparing. And I've been saying it for a while. Biggest thing people need to do is learn about Islam and learn how to respond to it and even learn how to mock it if necessary. But the idea here is for any people who have bad intentions or want to take over, they're not going to want to go to places where Islam is just exposed regularly. They're not going to want to be there. if people are just there because they, they want a better life for their kids or something like that, they'll be willing to endure some stuff. But you're not going to get the bad apples are going to have a problem being around places. They will not want their kids growing up in an environment where they hear mockery of Muhammad and things like that. So, or even like just serious like apologetic responses or polemics against Islam and so on, or lots of Christians going around preaching the gospel. So, and keep in mind, you do have government things and making your government do what is in your best interest and the best interest of the population and stuff. So definitely want to vote smart and call out people who are doing stupid things and so on. And then you obviously have government and government agencies that need to respond to terrorist attacks and stuff. So I'm talking about what you as a citizen would do, what you would do. And this is actually simpler than people understand. It's just, it takes some work. And so I seriously can't figure out why more people aren't doing the basic things that work. Continuing to pray for you, Issa. God bless you in the name of Christ. Yeah, you hear that?
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Amen to that. Thank you.
Hear that, goofy Sufi? Yeah.
Yeah, very goofy.
He hears that and he's like, how dare you say that to me? I do not accept you. I do not accept this blessing.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's funny. I've been watching a lot of content. And I'm like, there are people who really get offended by stuff like that. And it's shocking. I'm like, why would you get offended by that? I don't know.
Hang on. Just wanted to take a screenshot of this poll. Not the way the Warner would take a screenshot of a poll, but for later.
I saw this video on Instagram. I commented on it, but I thought it was really important. Where this he looks like a South Asian Muslim man is sitting in this classroom, and it's from like a TV show, and he's sitting there and he gets very upset that Bibles are given out at the school, and it's kind of shocking because like if someone gave like a text at school, I wouldn't be shocked whatever if it's a Quran or it's a Bible, whatever. You could read the text and find out for yourself what you feel about the text. I don't think getting a text should make you feel offended. But somehow this man in this show gets very offended. And then he does so I'm learning about this thing because I never grew up with it. This thing that you've been talking about here called the Dawa script. And he does the same things. He says the same stuff where he's like, the Bible and the New Testament and the Hebrew scriptures, well, they were corrupted. And we believe in Jesus. Like it's the same like talking points. I couldn't believe it. It's literally the same talking points. And he starts saying this. I'll find the clip and send it to you. But it was so shocking because he repeated all the same stuff. And I'm like, does he not realize what he's saying is so offensive? He's like saying, well, Christians here, your book, it's false. Jews, your book, it's false. My book is right. It's good and it's true. But your stuff, it's all made up. It's all false. And why is it false? Because I just claim that it's false. I don't have any evidence. Well, the Quran corrects it. I'm like, the Quran is 114 chapters. You can read the Quran in like a weekend. You cannot read the Bible in a weekend. Like maybe you could, but it would take a lot longer to do it, right? But it's so much longer and vaster. Do you really think that you could say that the Quran is like this correction of this whole text? But they're like, yeah, it corrects the whole text. Everything the Quran says, well, that's true. But the Bible, well, it's corrupt unless I don't want it to be corrupt. And I'm like, if it suits my needs, it's not corrupt, the portion that I'm quoting. I'm like, this is so crazy. But the guy basically does this rant. It's so crazy. It's so demeaning. And I think a lot of people believe what he's saying. They actually take that position as true, where they're like, yeah, the Bible's corrupt, but we love Jesus. And I'm like, well, what did Jesus teach? I don't have a clue. I was going to do my dissertation on Jesus through a Jewish, Muslim, and Christian perspective. That was what my PhD thesis was going to be on. But it's so hard to talk about Jesus from the Quran. There's not much there. There's very, very little. So you have to go to like mystical participants within Islamic tradition. You can't just use the Quran to talk about that. You could have like just a couple pages, and I don't know. It's completely bizarre to me.
Here we have, why is Issa using white screen and not dark mode? My eyes. Hey, yeah, you would, if you used dark mode, you wouldn't get the reflection, man. Figure out dark mode, man. Yeah, you're sitting there talking about using fancy computer programs and stuff like that all nerds use, and all you have to do is click dark mode. Let's see.
I haven't used this software before. Sorry.
Yeah. Irish had tough reputation. Do it. Organize now. Yeah. Emphasis on the word had. The Irish had a tough reputation. I don't think of them as tough anymore. Jvnior and his guy were saying serious stuff in Palestine. You would get, Germany? That's Germany, right? In Germany, you would get home searched or worse. I guess in the United States and Canada, you have another freedom of speech. Lol. And a red hand pointing. Oh, that's super sticker. Thanks. Christ the Lord be with the Christian apologists, especially Jvnior.
Thank you.
Issa, what program you use for your slides? You already answered that. Pressy. Sounds like it's made for girls, but guys can use it too.
I don't mind.
Did you see Sam defend and pray for you after you got doxxed? I think so. Maybe. I don't know. Or I heard about it, one or the other. Malik made AI vid of God Logic wife making corn on his stream right now. Oh man, there he goes. That's Malik, guys. That's your Dawa champ of the world. That's your Dawa champ of the world.
But that's so sick. That's so perverse. And wasn't this the man that's going around talking about just all the girls that they're going and seeing, all the females that they're going to see in different countries? Was he not a participant in doing these things too?
We suspect he might not be interested in girls. That's why he always attacks people's wives. It seems like he may hate wives because they take the men he's interested in or something like that.
And he got mad because he was called Jewish. And I'm like, this is something that bothers me too. Like in the Muslim community, I'm going to kvetch a little bit. I'm going to complain about this. Why are you upset about Jews? All your prophets are Jews. Like 90% of your prophets are Jews. Who do you think David, Solomon, Aaron,
I can't believe you said that. You said that about our prophets. Now I will dox you, Issa.
They're all Jews.
I'm going to dox you.
I actually had a debate recently. I've never actually debated this. I had posted a picture of me and Joseph Cohen from Israel Advocacy Network. And then my friends got so mad that how dare I be next to a Zionist and be next to a Jew. It was like the worst thing ever. But the idea that I was like, and then I had this debate with a friend from like my whole life. And I was like, yeah, all these prophets are Jews. He's like, no, they're Muslim. I'm like, did they pray 5 times a day? Did they give zakat? Did they make salat? Do they fast Ramadan? Did they do Hajj? If they didn't do this, then how are they Muslim? Well, they submitted to God. I'm like, okay, and then I guess everybody's a Jew because they're grateful to God. I guess everybody's Buddhist because they're enlightened. I guess everybody's like, a Christian because they follow Christ, Christ consciousness. You could make the same argument. It's so dumb. But people believe that. They're like, yeah, they're Muslim. But Ahmadiyya, they're not Muslim because they believe in Mirza Ghulam Ahmed. Jesus is a Muslim, but an Ahmadiyya is not a Muslim. Even though an Ahmadiyya prays 5 times a day, do everything a standard Muslim does, Jesus is the Muslim, even though he did Jewish things, but Ahmadiyya are not Muslim. I don't get it.
We have One Way Apologetics here. Salam al-Masih. God bless. David, I'll go live with you when we do the Malik review. Also, Issa, remember when you come to my live when you accept Christ.
That's my friend. We're actually, he and I, we go back a very long way. Chris Claus and I.
Hey, Thaddeus, when do we want to do the review? We want to jump on that tomorrow?
Yeah, we can potentially do that. He is live now. A couple people have sent me updates. He is apparently doxing people. So, I'm prepared to prepare the clips tonight and we can go live tomorrow. You and I can discuss in a little bit here how we want to do that, but
all right.
We can give it tomorrow.
Hey, yo, Chris, sounds like we most likely will be going live tomorrow. Normally, now that AP is back in live streaming, now that AP's back, maybe on schedule. We would normally go live on AP's channel, but I will just tell him we want to switch days, and he can cover Sunday because we're gonna do a Saturday. So let me know if that works, man. Just send me a message. Don't need to send any more super chats. Send me a message if tomorrow night works, and we'll be discussing that. D Wood confusing Germany with Palestine. How bad Germany has become. No, I was just reading, and I thought because it's them that it was, and then I said, wait, that's not Palestine. What the heck? Wrong colors. And what do we have here? Buddy the Rabbit, you did pretty good, though. Issa, have you done any other debates or much public speaking? There was a lot of between statements. What's wrong? You're going to criticize him for Like is every other word I say. But you powered through.
I did notice that, too.
It was easy to follow when you found your stride. You're a good tutor.
I've actually been engaging with this bad cough for a long time, so I'm like trying to engage through the cough and doing the presentation, and I actually literally got back from Jerusalem that day, so it was pretty intense. So I was just like, let's get through this, let's figure out how to get through this whole process. But I appreciate that. I think if we were at top tier, it'd be different, but we're doing the best we can. So
So I actually have a related question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was going through your head? What was going through your head in this debate? Like, you have this very polished, professional presentation. You have citations for facts. And then you got these guys who are stumbling, barely able to read the sentences they wrote on their slides. None of them sourced to anything. And then a monkey comes out. What was going through your head during this debate?
Thank you for asking that. I was like, I think Jvnior, it was interesting. These are certain points that I was expecting to hear, like from Jvnior in the beginning. I think Jvnior was able to kind of hold it, but I don't think Julian was prepared to do that. Julian said, "Oh, we shared the same presentation," but I don't think he was really prepared to speak extemporaneously. I don't think he was able to do that. Some of the arguments were just really poor, because a lot of it is it's kind of like emotional manipulation. I feel that was the strongest position. It's like, these arguments are here to emotionally manipulate you. I didn't actually go into the real trump cards of my argument. My argument would be like, okay, if they were going to come really hard,
he's being paid by Trump.
If they're going to make the really strong,
Trump gave him cards to read from. He gave him prepared cards.
That's so funny. If it was my argument, if they really used a great argument, this is the argument I'd be using. They're like, well, Israel killed all these people, and I'm like, so you don't like modern nation states? This is what happens with modern nation states. If you don't like that, I said, if someone invades a country, this is the reprisal. Have you seen what happened during Pearl Harbor, 9/11? This is a normal response. What you're holding Israel to is what any normal nation state would do. So I'm like, you could be upset, but I'm like, then if you're an American, renounce your American citizenship. America did exactly the same thing with Pearl Harbor. First of all, I'm anti-war. I don't want anyone to die. I'm pro-life. I want to keep as many people alive as possible. Unfortunately, we live in a space where war does exist. So we want to mitigate casualties. We want to promote life. I would think that pretty much everyone here believes that, right? The issue is that's not always the case. There is death, and we have to figure out the best way to navigate that. And I think when I was listening to this kind of thing, you're just like, well, they're killing all these people, and look, it's not mostly Hamas, it's civilians. And I'm like, well, Hamas is a part of this situation, that you're not taking a mea culpa. You're not taking accountability and saying, look, Hamas, if we went deep into this, Israel pays millions and millions of dollars to keep its citizens safe. It makes bomb shelters. It has the Iron Dome. It invests a lot of money to support its civilians. Hamas doesn't invest anything in that. Hamas invests money into doing destruction. That's a huge difference. And I'm like, in the presentation when I'm listening, I'm like, you're not really owning that. And then you're like, he said something that I've heard a lot of times, and it's really kind of false. I just have to say it. He made the argument that Palestinians just welcomed Jews into Palestine. And I'm like, Haji Amin al-Husseini was the leader at this time. He was a Nazi, or you could call him a Nazi or a Nazi collaborator. His goal was to eradicate Jews from the face of the earth. You know, like, we can't play that game. It just said, oh, they just welcomed all the Jews into the houses. Where's the evidence? Citation for that?
Well,
There's no citation.
There is evidence. It's called Trust Me, Bro.
No. It's called the Hamas Charter and the other Hamas documents. Right? Because, am I wrong? Is that not what they did in the rebuttal? Be like, how dare you say Israel isn't doing these things? It says right here in the Hamas documents that they're doing these things.
And the Hamas Charter tells us directly what it was. It quotes a hadith about annihilating Jews. That's what it quotes. So I'm like, is that what you want? And it's clear that they want to destroy all the Jews. They're from Ikhwanul Muslimun. And I love that. Jvnior gets points for that. Jvnior owned that. He's like, dude, this is Muslim Brotherhood, and Muslim Brotherhood is bad. He said that. And I think that's such a good on him for saying that. Julian, on the other hand, was like, yeah, I'm really happy for this. He's like going like this, like, oh yes, destroy all of them. It's so good. And I'm like, oh God, it's like, it was a little disturbing, you know? But I don't know. I think that Julian probably has some, you know, like mental health issues that
I think
probably that's kind of what I was getting. I don't really grant what he said as like crystal fact. I think he has some mental health issues. And I think some of these people who go to these protests for this stuff, like Black Lives Matter, like, for example, it's a beautiful idea, you know, of supporting these lives as all lives, you know. But the thing is, when you see the movement, there's a part that says the police are bad. And I'm like, this is crazy. You're going to say the police are bad. Do you know a lot of the police are Black? Like, this is so ridiculous to me. You're like, I want to support Black lives, but I hate police, but many police are Black. It's just, my mind is blown by this, you know? And what do you do if you don't have police? Are you just going to have like gang rule? Like, it's some of these things where I'm like, it sounds really good on paper. Like, of course you want to support these movements, right? Of course you want to care about Palestinians. Of course you want to care about Black people. But what is the other stuff that's being a part of this package? And that's important to investigate, I think, you know. What else is being, you know, what do you call it? Like, smuggled into the package. And those are the problems, you know. Like, even example, like socialism and communism and all this stuff, it says, yeah, you want people to have all these resources and have all these supports. This sounds great, right? The problem is that's not what it is. There's all this other stuff that's smuggled in. And I think that is the part that you have to engage, I think.
Here we have, will that be the perfect time to play the Malik song? Yeah, tomorrow we'll be having some fun stuff. Beavis and Butthead of Dawa. That's Jvnior and Julian. And the Jews gave Issa coal, you see. This is a good point. That's from my homie. Es misogera. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and close out. Issa, you might want to close your eyes and ears for this video. I want to close your eyes and ears for this video. This is a response to the Malik challenge. Go and check it out. But guys, this is over on Eric, your brother in Christ channel, and this next level. Let me see. I think if I share screen, it plays sound. I didn't change anything to make it do that. It used to not do it, and then all of a sudden it started doing it. So we'll see if it actually still does it here. Let's see. So here we have that. And now just need to, hang on. Can I get on the screen here? And what's going on? Oh, there we go. All right, so here we go. Let's see if this thing plays sound.
Eric from Ohio had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. On that farm he had some pigs. With a sheep here and a goat there. Camel. Eric from Ohio had a farm. E-I-E-I-O.
Eric from Ohio had a farm. E-I-E-I-O.
Eric from Ohio had a book.
E-I-E-I-O. And that book made no sense. E-I-E-I-O. So we fed it here, fed it there. Pages flying everywhere.
Eric from Ohio had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. Sometimes he shoots it straight.
E-I-E-I-O.
Sometimes he wipes his butt.
E-I-E-I-O. Pages spin and chaos reign. Sheep just stare like
Bro's insane.
the Quran is such a stupid book. E-I-E-I-O.
Every day the book gets zooted. Zoot, 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 zoot. Same book gets eaten. Zoot, 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 zoot. It gets zooted here, zooted there, zooted everywhere.
Everywhere, everywhere. Eric from Ohio zooted that book.
Wow, 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 guys. So that is Eric from Ohio.
You know why I think a lot of folks do
Hey,
things like that?
you didn't even
Oh,
close
sorry.
your eyes, man. You're going to be traumatized. You're going to be traumatized like crazy, man.
I actually want to comment on this, and even like, you know, when people get upset about like Quran eating and stuff like that, I do have a comment on that. I think why folks might do this type of thing is because the people who are on the Muslim side are behaving so poorly
Yeah.
that it's like it's instead of actually, I don't know, this is my kind of opinion about holy texts and religion in general. If something is true, if you took a text and you tore it, that doesn't change the truth of the text. It only does it if you think that this text is the book. And I think that is a kind of a heavy space. If this is really true, how can you destroy it? You know, the truth will always be the truth, no matter what. And it's kind of shocking because it's like the people are behaving very badly. I've heard some of the things from the side talking about people's wives and stuff. It's very disturbing. And then they say, well, I care so much about this text. And I'm like, but there's a hypocrisy here. You don't care about life, but you care about a text. So is this text an idol? Is this some kind of idolatry? It appears that way, that you're worshiping the book instead of God. You know, I don't know how you would feel if someone like tore, you know, like a Bible or something. You're probably like, oh, that's not good. But I don't think you would take this type of
No,
vitriol.
We wouldn't care a whole lot. We'd be like, God wants to deal with you, can, but other than that, there's a book.
God is real, right?
There'd be no scenario where we would take that as more serious than like killing a person or something like that.
But it's so
See,
shocking.
like you,
'cause-
right? Like people understand. You got it right here. Issa's going to humiliate both of you for this, right? They understand that you, as a goofy Sufi, are going to be so enraged, they're going to flip out and humiliate us.
And to me, it's like, I don't feel anything like that. I feel more upset when people want to kill other people. That bothers me a lot more than a text being damaged. You know, I think, of course, you know, I'm going to respect text. That's how I live my life. But I think it's bizarre, the reaction that people get so upset. Like someone asked me, they said, well, AP was tearing up the Quran. Why weren't you offended? And I'm like, if this is the holy word of God, let's grant that it is for the sake of the argument. Why? How can you destroy it? You can't destroy the word of God. This is just like a shadow. It's a way for us to understand it, from to a degree, anything that we would deem as a holy scripture, right? So why would you get offended? I don't know. It's bizarre to me. I can't fathom it. And it's weird going into a world where people are offended and they get angry. They get angry about cartoons. I'm like, it's a cartoon. So what? Get on with your life. And the thing is, I think when somebody's drawing the cartoon and they get offended, the purpose of it is to get people to say, dude, you're acting really dumb, man. You're misbehaving because of this. You haven't grown up. If you think God is so great and you think the prophets, you don't think that God and the prophets and whatever your belief system isn't protected if you really believe it. I don't know. I'm in a kind of loss for that,
I
So
occasionally,
it's- yeah.
Thaddeus and I have to go. We have an 11 o'clock meeting, but I see comment. I can't tell if people are if someone's joking when he says something like this, because this is just hilarious. I'm guessing.
It's got to be a joke, right?
No, he's saying justice for David Wood victims and stuff. No, I think this is serious. It's over for you, David Wood. You not coming back from what Malik do. I don't even know what Malik is doing to me. He apparently just doxes everybody while I'm doing this, which never ends. Which never ends. You know what I mean? All right. Hey, what's your name? Money Salomon 3370. It's the 16th. It's the 16th. Message. Come back on the 31st and tell me how things are going for your little theory about Malik. Just come back on the 31st, right? No. I'll be debating on the 30th. Well, I probably won't be debating. Jake's going to find a way to back out. But yeah, before that, like on the 29th or on the 30th, we'll be having live streams on those days. So definitely come back and visit and tell us. We'll revisit your little comment there. Wait, let's see. Hang on. Wait, what were these last couple? Okay, here we go. I demand this be played every live stream. That's about Eric's song. Yeah, we'll definitely be playing that. We'll be playing some more videos tomorrow, guys. We'll be playing some more videos tomorrow. Is it Malik? Malik, I keep seeing different spellings. His actual name is with the I. His rap name and what he normally uses now is with the double E. So, yeah. Now who holds the cards? Issa. Issa has all the cards. That's true. We have Issa, peace be upon him. You're so sweet. Please don't go bald. I like your hair.
I appreciate it. I don't think that's in my genetics, so I think I'll be pretty good for a while.
And we have, does putting holes in the Quran make it holier? Yeah, that is one way to make it holy. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We have to take off now. We will be, in theory, back tomorrow if I'm not massacred by good old, what's his name again? Malik. Just wanted to take a last screenshot of this poll. 1,800 votes, and 87% said that they don't think Sheikh Uthman will participate in one actually moderated debate this entire year. I have to. That's about my thoughts. It's always possible. It's always possible that he could take someone on something, but yeah, I'd have to weigh heavily against him ever actually stepping up. All right, guys, we will catch y'all tomorrow. If you weren't here for the earlier live stream, check out, I made a short video. Matter of fact, I'll put the link in. I'll put the link as the pinned comment here, but Jai and DOC are moving from the UK to the USA. And they checked on what it would cost to ship their stuff over here, and it's basically more expensive than eventually getting new stuff. So they're giving away all their old stuff in the UK. They're just bringing their clothes and their laptop, and so they're starting from scratch when they get over here. I put together a little fundraiser to basically help them, because guys, they're not going to have, I mean, a bed, couch, none of that stuff. They'll have nothing, car, nothing. So I put together a fundraiser to help them out. So please chip in if you can. If not, you can do other stuff. You can share it. You can pray, things like that. But yep, big move coming for them. Really, really bad for the Dawa guys, because it's not going to go well for them this year. And you see they're already in full meltdown mode. All right. Thanks, Issa, for jumping in, and Thaddeus for being here and getting all those clips together. And it'll be Thaddeus getting the clips together from Malik's live stream, which sound like there's gonna have to be a lot of censorship because he's a sicko pervert. And last one here, the Warner, aka the Watcher, is wondering if he can watch Junior play with his monkey. Yeah, absolutely. That's what's going on. Why is it hey, Issa, do what you just did. It looked like you had a lightsaber. Look at that.
Wow.
Lightsaber there. That's pretty cool. All right, guys. Catch you all tomorrow. It will be a fun day. See you then.